Yeah.
for having me.
Thank you too. It is launching. It is about halfway through.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really need too much introduction.
Yeah, and
Like,
I was like, y'all know Ashera. What up? Say hi.
I will.
I think you all know, or half of you are here because 90% of you are here because of her anyway.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube recording. All right, I think we're live then. Okay. What up, you guys? Are we live? We're live. We are live. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Tonight we are doing the Gnostic Gospel of Judas. And I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and I was waiting to just have like a nice open night. And then I figured, why not get the Queen of Code herself on here, Ashera, and do a little mashup. And so she's going to be reading, she's going to be coding as I read. I'll stop on occasion and just think of whenever something pops up noteworthy, and she's going to have at it. She'll take the show, and then we'll have a nice dialogue. And where is my can you still hear me, Ashera?
Hi. Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Here.
I thought I deleted you. Nice. We already have tons of people in the room. So welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Matt Letters, Keith, here to bring you knowledge, information, and hopefully at the least some entertainment. Feel free to take your shoes off, stay a while, pour yourself a glass of wine, a glass of water, some tea, roll yourself up some oregano, whatever it is you do to cool down the beat for a sec. And yeah, we're going to slam into this. I'm really excited. We have 72 people watching. We got a good 9. Solid number 9 to begin with. Deb.
Come on in.
Anything you want to share, or should I get into it, Mrs. Shea?
I think you should get into it.
All right. Let's do this, you guys. So without further ado, we will begin. Like I said, you are here at Man of Letters, and I'm your host, Keith, and we're about to slam into it. This is the Gnostic Gospel of Judas. Introduction. This is the secret message of judgment. Jesus spoke with Judas Iscariot over a period of 8 days, 3 days before he celebrated Passover. When he appeared on earth, he did signs and great wonders for the salvation of humanity. Some walked in the way of righteousness, but others walked in their transgression. So the 12 disciples were called. He started to tell them about the mysteries beyond the world and what would happen at the end. Often he didn't reveal himself to his disciples, but you'd find him in their midst as a child. So just a disclaimer before we keep going. This is a Gnostic gospel, which means it was written 100 to 200 years after Christ. And the Gnostic Christians had a very, very, very different take on Christianity. And Jesus appeared a lot to them as a spirit or as a child. He never, in their eyes, he never really appeared as an actual man. So in case you're wondering some of the words in here. Anywho, let's begin. Jesus criticizes the disciples. One day he was with his disciples in Judea. He found them sitting together practicing their piety. When he came up to his disciples, 34 sitting together praying over the bread, he laughed. The disciples said to him, "Master, why are you laughing at our prayer? What have we done? This is what's right." Jesus answered and said to them, "I'm not laughing at you. You're not doing this because you want to, but because through this your God will be praised." They said, "Master, you are the Son of our God." Jesus replied, "How do you know me? Truly, I say to you, no generation of the people among you will know me." So first and foremost, the disciples are breaking bread, which is like the backbone, at least, of Catholicism. Um, and Jesus laughs at them as they're breaking bread. And the disciples obviously are wondering what the hell is going on, because he's doing the ritual that he taught them. And now he's saying that he's not the son of their God. So what the hell is going on here?
Well, there's different versions of Jesus. And so if you think about it, when he comes back as a spirit and he laughs at them for what they're doing, Jesus is not one particular person. It is a group or a type of a soul or spirit. So this is coded. So it's not the same person that taught them that ritual. And if you remember, I think on one of your videos, you said Jesus talked about, if you don't hate your father, you can't follow me.
Yeah, that was also a wild statement. How are you saying that's connected?
Because he said, well, aren't you the son of our God? And so if Jesus hates his father, then who's his father? You see, there's like deeper mysteries within all of this. So he says, I'm the son of God, but then God, the Father in heaven, but then he also had an earthly father. So who is his father? You see, because he was born of a woman.
Oh, I see.
So there's parallel things going on. One is in the cosmos and one is on the earth. So I think he's laughing as a soul at something that was taught that is no longer relevant.
Yeah, that's actually, it makes a lot of sense, even to how the Gnostics saw it, which is the God of the Old Bible was, or the Old Testament, I mean, was a false God. It was a fallen angel who created this world. So they're almost saying that there are two gods.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was saying.
We'll keep going forward. Sorry, guys. I get caught up in the conversation, lose my place. Okay. When his disciples heard this, they started to get angry and furious and started to curse him in their hearts. But when Jesus noticed their ignorance, he said to them, "Why are you letting your anger trouble you? Has your God within you and his stars become angry with your souls? If any of you is strong enough among humans to bring out the perfect humanity, stand up and face me." All of them said, "We're strong enough." But their spirits weren't brave enough to stand before him, except Judas Iscariot. He was able to stand before him, but he couldn't look him in the eye, so he looked away. Jesus said to him, "I know who you are and where you've come from." Oh, I'm sorry, did I say Jesus? I meant Judas. Judas said to him, "I know who you are and where you've come from. You've come from the immortal realm of Barbello, and I'm not worthy to utter the name of the one who's sent you." Then Jesus, knowing that he was thinking about what's exalted, said to him, "Come away from the others, and I'll tell you the mysteries of the kingdom. Not so that you'll go there, but you'll grieve so much because someone else will replace you to complete the 12 elements before their God." Damn. Yeah, that's a lot. Do you want to start with that?
Okay, so he's angry because I don't think that the disciples understood what the first or the Jesus incarnate taught, and they turned his teachings into physical rituals. A lot of times in the Bible, people would do rituals to give prophecy and information, not to be repeated.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like coded. Look, I'm doing this so y'all can know the code. So,
help me help you, disciples.
So, for example, him turning water into wine was code for turn what is like this clear into something red. You know, take your alchemy and add it to this to create something new. So a lot of the things that Jesus was teaching was to become one and mix and become one. Like you always talk about the Tower of Babel, how the people were one. Well,
Mhm.
that was his whole message, to love one another and become one with the Father. And so the Father of the heavens, which would be the creator and source. So to become one with that, you would have to become one with all the people and all, the creation, the Son of God, which would look like him. So they describe Jesus as having, skin of, feet of, skin of bronze and hair of wool. So they would have
Yeah.
to, then
He
mix.
was ethnic.
But he's ethnic. So he race. They would have to mix race in order to become one and also to fulfill what he was trying to teach the whole time. But they weren't getting the code. They weren't getting the messages. A lot of them were just, not understanding. Some of them did.
Yeah, if you guys know the story of Babel, in the Old Testament, the story goes that at a time the human race was one race and they spoke one language, and they covered the planet. And the gods came down, said, "Hey, it's been a while since we've checked out the humans. We should go down there and see what's going on." They come over and God says, "Look at what man is capable of when he is one race." They're capable of the gods. And so they go down, destroy the tower, and confound humanity, spread them all over the planet, and made it so they couldn't understand each other's languages. Because that was key. The whole key was language. We talk about lettering and spelling things out and speaking things into existence. Words are power. So the idea in the Tower of Babel was God confounded speech, and that's where we get the word babble from. Like, what are you babbling about? Comes from Babylon, because they couldn't understand one another, and because they couldn't understand one another, they lost power. They lost the ability to communicate with one another on every level, as you guys know. As above, let those with ears, as they say. And nice, juicy stuff already. Well, I should have wrapped it up a couple lines ago, but all right, we'll finish this one section. So Jesus says, "Step up to me if you think you can fix humanity." Judas is the only one that steps up, but can't look him in the eye. And then Jesus says, "Come with me in secret, in private, and let me teach you the secrets of the kingdom." So Jesus basically shared with Judas things he didn't share with any of the other disciples, because none of them were strong enough, bold enough to step up to Jesus, which means, I'm assuming, Jesus gives Judas the most challenging task, which we will get to shortly. So after that conversation, Judas says to him, "When will you tell me these things? And when will the great day of light dawn for the generation?" But when he said these things, Jesus left him. Next section, called Another Generation, says, "The next morning he appeared to his disciples. They said to him, 'Master, where did you go? And what did you do when you left us?' Jesus said to them, 'I went to another great and holy generation.' His disciples said to him, 'Lord, what great generation is better and holier than us, that's not in these realms?' Now Jesus heard this, and he laughed. He said to them, 'Why are you wondering in your hearts about the strong and holy generations? Truly I say to you, no one born of this realm will see that generation. No army of angels from the stars will rule over it, and no person of mortal birth will be able to join it. Because that generation doesn't come from blank," this part of the scroll is missing, "because that generation doesn't come from blank that has become blank. The generation of the people among them, or the generation of people among them is the generation of the great people blank, the powerful authorities who blank, nor the powers blank those by which you rule. So unfortunately, the fucking juiciest paragraph in this whole thing so far is riddled with blanks, which is unfortunate because this document has been verified from multiple third-party sources that it is legit, that it does come from 1700 years ago during the early days of Gnostic Christianity. So that those pieces are missing really breaks my heart. Maybe
Well,
you could help fill us in with those blanks. Right? Do you have that paragraph pulled up, Ashera?
I can fill it in.
Fill it in, because that's like...
Okay, so basically it's blank, I guess, because it's taken out or was ripped or something. But when they say this generation will not be born of mortals, that means those that are not eternal. That means those that are not from the cosmos. That means those that are not cosmic souls.
So Earth compared to Starborn. I think Toth talks about that.
Right. So, but mortals can become immortal. So that's not, that's not saying that they can never become that, but they were just saying these great, this great generation will not be born of a mortal. So a mortal would represent someone who was earth, children of the earth. So they would not be of cosmic birth, which would probably most likely be, someone that was not, as you would say, quote unquote, ethnic.
Wait, say that last part again.
They would not be born of an ethnic person. They would be born of an ethnic person.
Oh, I see.
They would not be born of the generation that sits before him and what his disciples look like.
Is that what you were getting at earlier when you were mentioning teaching the oneness and referring back to that original one person?
They're going to be born from, interracial couples. Not from, same, or, people that look like my disciples, because his disciples were mostly, because he didn't come to teach people that looked like him. He came to teach the other people, to show them the way and show them what to do. So they would have to be brown ethnic people that they would be born from. Those are the immortal cosmic, aka spaceborn. Yeah. So that's what that means.
The spaceborn. Man,
and the blank,
into the tablets, our favorite.
The blank parts are, how a lot of the Earth's ionosphere and magnetosphere is being disrupted by the solar energies and the things in the heavens, and a lot of things are getting in the gamma ray blast. I don't know if you study the cosmology of it all, but we're getting bombarded right now with a lot of solar energy and gamma ray energy, and those energies are conscious. And like, let's say if a baby was born recently, I mean, you've had a little addition to your family.
I got a crazy story about that for you too. Then just don't let me forget.
Okay. So the plasma from that energy, when entering into the human, and a soul basically would come through onto a human. So you're getting spaceborn plasma entering into the children that are being born now.
Oh, as you're coming through. Yeah. Well, that would make perfect sense if you think that where Mars is in the night sky affects your personality, then for sure cosmic rays that are bouncing off the atmosphere are certainly going to influence the birth of a child. It's funny, right now you brought up my son and children born recently. There's a meteor, or not a meteor, there's a comet that they just discovered a couple months ago in December that they just now found out hasn't been here since Egypt. That's why they haven't seen it in such a long time, since the days of ancient Egypt, historical ancient Egypt. So like 2000, 2500 BC. Anywho, they named it Atlas, and my son's name is Atlas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was mighty interesting and coincidental, or not coincidental. But there's something blasting for sure right now. I gotta check that out. Anywho, let's. Do you think we should check the comments for interaction, or? Should we
Sure.
wait till we're done? This text isn't too long.
Okay, go ahead and you can read. I'll look at while you read, I'll look at some of the text.
Okay. This chapter isn't too long, you guys. When it's read straight through, it's only 16 minutes long, so I'll get on with it. Oh, we hit all those blanks, so where the hell did I leave it? Okay. So this is the next section is called the disciples' vision. Another day, Jesus came up to them. They said to him, "Master, we've seen you in a dream because we had great dreams last night." But Jesus said, "Why blank hid in yourselves?" And they said, "We saw a great house with a great altar in it and 12 people. We'd say they were priests and a name, and a crowd of people was waiting at the altar until the priests finished receiving the offerings. We kept waiting too." Jesus replied, "What were they like?" And they said, "Some fast for 2 weeks. Others sacrifice their own children. Others their wives, praising and humbling themselves among each other. Others sleep with men, others murder, yet others commit many sins and do criminal things. And the people standing before the altar invoke your name. And in all their sacrificing, they fill the altar with their offerings." When they said this, they fell silent because they were troubled. Jesus said to them, "Why are you troubled? Truly, I say to you, all the priests standing before that altar invoke my name. And again, I say to you, my name has been written on this house of the generations of the stars by the human generations. And they have shamefully planted fruitless trees in my name." Jesus said to them, "You're the ones receiving the offerings on the altar you've seen. That's the God you serve. And you're the 12 people you've seen. And the animals you saw brought in to sacrifice are the crowd you lead astray. Your minister will stand up and use my name like that, and the generations of the pious will be loyal to him. After him, another person will present those who sleep around. After him, another person will present those who sleep around, and another those who murder children, and another those who sleep with men, and those who fast, and the rest of impurity, crime, and error. And those who say, we're equal to the angels, they're the stars that finish everything. It's been said to the human generations, look, God has accepted your sacrifice from the hands of priests. That is, the minister of error. But the Lord who commands is the Lord over everything. On the last day, they'll be found guilty. Jesus said to them, stop sacrificing animals. You've offered them over the altar, over your stars with your angels and where they've been completed. So let them become blank with you and let them become clear. His disciples said to him, cleanse us from our sins that we've committed through the deceit of the angels. Actually, we should stop right there. Even on that line, that's like touching on stuff from the book of Enoch and fallen angels and Nephilim and false gods and human and child sacrifice. Like,
well, it's also it's meant to get your attention so that you pay attention to it. But when they say to sacrifice or offerings or murder, it means the dominant over the recessive. So let's say, if you sacrifice your children, that means you take your children and you sacrifice them and give them to marry them off to someone that may have a recessive gene and doesn't hold the name of Jesus or the covering or the name or the word, which is the eumelanin. So they would marry their children off to less melanated people. When they sacrificed their wives, that would be the same thing. They would sell their wives off in order, to to get money out, you know, for greed or whatnot, or to get favor from these certain people. They would sell them off. And so a lot of these things don't mean actual murder or killing. It means to sell them off. And when he was saying about the sacrificing of animals, or stop sacrificing animals in my name, back in the old days, they used to sacrifice animals instead of, like, as a ritual, because a lot of the organs in certain animals have something in them that will help get, let's say you're trying to manifest something, and the burning of this animal, since it has a soul or a spirit, it would reach into the heavens. So that prayer would go up with that animal. And some of the organs have a lot of eumelanin in it. That's why you have a lot of organ harvesting and kidnapping of people, because when these organs are burned, or these animals are sacrificed, you know, they could get through up into the heavens to send out that frequency, you know. And so he's saying, stop doing this, because you should be doing this on your own, not having to use kids and trade off people for eumelanin and this and that. You're supposed to have it yourself. You're gambling. This is considered gambling. And if you notice, like, it's a sin to gamble in the Jewish tradition, because this is symbolic of this. And so he's coming back to say, y'all need to get right. Y'all need to just do it the correct way. Y'all need to just mix instead of, you know, trading, sacrificing animals and trying to take the shortcut. And in the nightmare that, or the vision that he described, and when he was talking about the priests, well, back then the priests, you know, were considered holy, and they had to have eumelanin in order to pray and get the prayers up into the heavens. So that's why he reversed it on them, because he said, that was you, that was you.
Not you saw in the vision.
Right. That was supposed to be you.
Never put that connection together with they're burning animals because they have spirits, and that spirit is taking the message.
Well, it has a lot to do with, let's say, do you remember the story of Cain and Abel, where one brother was putting out vegetables and the other one was sacrificing a lamb? The prayer got out and he had favor because he sacrificed his best lamb. Well, the whole point is, you know, instead of just being natural within and trying to take shortcuts and make loopholes to hold favor here so that you can have, you know, this here and that here, was something that was looked down upon by the people that were taking the correct route that Jesus spoke about. You know, just become one. Don't try to do all this extra stuff.
And it gets extra as hell sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of people will say, okay, well, that's why you have all these people being kidnapped. That's why Hollywood has all this child, you know, trafficking and whatnot. Those are the shortcuts.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. That's why one of the reasons why I stopped at that chapter is because it brought up those sort of crimes against humanity, and says that that's what your gods do, the false gods. And then I started thinking of correlations and the crazy stuff happening in the Catholic Church with all the cover-ups of the molestation and like and you said this is what you will teach generations. And I thought, shit, because we do study the disciples and these are things happening in our generations, just like prophesied by Jesus in this text in this paragraph that we just read right now.
Right. So,
which is pretty wild.
Yeah, he was upset because they're trying to take shortcuts, and while doing that, they're defiling themselves and making a mockery out of, you know, the whole thing. So this is why Judas, which was the only one that could face him, was taught this, because he was the strongest one of them all. And that represented, if you're able to face someone like that, it means that also in astrology, it also means that you're just as influential. Your message will also be remembered just as the messenger. So the one who betrays the messenger will always be remembered just as the messenger was. It's like the mirror. So
Yeah.
you always remember who killed who. You know, like if a
Yeah.
dies, you know who killed him.
Yeah. That's interesting and true. Damn.
So his legacy would live on in order to help people remember. And I guess if you go into the story of Judas, how he traded Jesus in, I guess I'll let you get to that part because it does talk.
Okay. Yeah. We'll keep going. Yada yada yada. Some friends become enemies. Some enemies become friends. Okay, here we are. Jesus said to them, "Oh wait, no, we did that. Stop sacrificing animals." Hold on, sorry, location. All right. Jesus said to them, okay, the disciples said, "Cleanse us from our sins." It's the last thing we read. And then Jesus says, "It's not possible, nor can a fountain quench the fire of the entire inhabited world." Damn, Jesus came in hot. "Nor can a city's well satisfy all generations except the great stable one. A single lamp won't illuminate all the realms except the second generation. Nor can a baker feed all creation under heaven." And when the disciples heard these things, they said to him, "Master, help us and save us." Jesus replied, "Stop struggling against me. Each one of you has his own star, and of the stars will blank what belongs to it. I wasn't sent to the corruptible generation, but to the strong and incorruptible generation, because no enemy has ruled over that generation, nor any of the stars. Truly, I say to you, the pillar of fire will fall quickly, and that generation won't be moved by the stars." Now we're speaking with Jesus and Judas alone. And when Jesus said these things, he left, taking Judas Iscariot with him. He said to him, "The water on the exalted mountain is from blank. It didn't come to the water well of the tree of the fruit of this realm, blank, after a time, blank, but came to water God's paradise and the enduring fruit, because it won't corrupt. It won't corrupt that generation's walk of life, but it will exist for all eternity." Then Judas said to him, "Tell me, what kind of fruit does this generation have?" Jesus said, "The souls of every human generation will die. However, when these people have completed the time in the kingdom and the spirit leaves them, their bodies will die, but their souls will live on, and they'll be taken up." Judas said, "What will the rest of the human generations do?" Jesus said, "It's not possible to sow on rock and harvest its fruit. In the same way, it's not possible to sow on the defiled race along with the perishable wisdom, and the hand which created mortal humans so that their souls may go up to the realms above. Truly, I say to you, no ruler, angel, or power will be able to see the places that this great holy generation will see." When Jesus said this, he left. Judas said, "Master, just as you've listened to all of them, now listen to me too, because I've seen a great vision." But Jesus laughed when he heard this. He said to him, "Why are you all worked up, you 13th demon? But speak up and I'll bear with you." Judas said to him, and first of all, Jesus is just talking shit this whole time. That's a very common Gnostic gospel theme. Jesus is very mocking and always laughs at people. Anywho, so Jesus laughs at him and he's like, "All right, quit getting all worked up." And then he calls him a demon. We'll come back to that. He says, "Why are you getting all worked up, you 13th demon? But speak up and I'll bear." So Judas said to him, In the vision, I saw myself. The 12 disciples are stoning me and chasing me rapidly. And also I came to the place where I had followed you. I saw a house in this place, and my eyes couldn't measure its size. Great people surrounded it, and that house had a roof of greenery. In the middle of the house was a crowd. Master, take me in with these people. Jesus answered, your star has led you astray, Judas, and that no person of mortal birth is worthy to enter the house that you've seen, because that place is reserved for those who are holy. Neither the sun nor the moon will rule there, nor the day, but those who are holy will always stand in the realm with the holy angels. Look, I've told you in the mysteries of the kingdom, and I've taught you about the error of the stars, and blank sent on high over the 12 realms. Judas said, Master, surely my seed doesn't dominate the rulers, does it? Jesus answered and said to him, come, let me tell you about the holy generation. Not so that you'll go there, but you'll grieve much when you see the kingdom and all its generation. Another savage line by Jesus. He says, all right, I'll show you the holy generation, Judas. Not that you'll actually go there, but you'll cry when you see the kingdom and all its generations. All right, there's the last two lines, and then we'll do a little spiel. When Judas heard this, he said to him, what good has it done me that you've separated me from that generation? Jesus answered and said, you'll become the 13th and will be cursed by the other generations and will rule over them. In the last days, they'll blank to you and you won't go up to the holy generation. Damn. All right, so that's the end of that section.
Mm-hmm.
Which ended with Jesus saying that he's basically, Judas is the ruler of our generations.
Well, that means that he was going to be someone that would not be able to go, but would be able to usher in that next generation.
Yeah.
So he would be the sacrifice since he sacrificed Jesus, then he would be the sacrifice in the future. His seed would be the future sacrifice.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you've ever watched Endgame.
Watched what?
Adventures Endgame.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet, man. I've been
Well,
slipping on that one hard.
well, that's okay because I just saw it, so don't feel bad. Well, basically, the person that will sacrifice themselves for the generation that they were told about. So, for example, let's say if people keep comparing Trump to like a Judas figure, he knows what's to come as much as people don't like to talk about. He's very calm and he doesn't care because it feels like he might know the future, or he might have some time travel access, or he might just have some knowledge that some of us don't have. So I feel like he is one of the people that are willing to sacrifice a lot of things and not care because he knows what's to come.
Yeah.
Like, he was always talking about, I don't care, do it, I know what's coming and do what you want, fake news. He's like, I already know what's coming and I'm not worried about it like y'all are because y'all don't know what I know. So it's like he has some inside information and he's not very afraid, and he's very calm because he knows his duty or his job. And even though it might seem that people will curse him and hate him, all the 12 tribes will hate him. Everybody hates Trump. Most people hate Trump, even the people that probably voted for him. But if the people that can see his role will truly understand that he's just doing or fulfilling a promise or a covenant between him and Christos. And if you look at Donald Trump's lineage, it says the families that are connected to Donald Trump, one of the last names of the family is Christ.
Interesting.
So yeah, if you look it up on Google, it'll go ahead and it'll show you like his lineage, and it'll say Christ.
Lineages of powerful people are always really interesting.
Right. And there's like, if you read his lineage, he has his hands in everything. So look, I'll just blow it up and put it on the screen. It says, you see where it says all the last names of connected families?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Heinz Christ. Interesting.
So a lot, so I mean, you can add it all up, and but the prophecies that people talk about, Donald Trump is one of the people that are supposed to. That's why his name is Trump, like the trumpet. And so that's why he's in the position that he's in, because he's fulfilling a promise to create well, I'll let you go on.
The trumpet sounded the end of days in Revelations, right?
Right.
I never made that connection. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. All right. Well, that was good. I like that. Let's see how much we have left. We have, you guys, thanks for hanging in there with us, enjoying the show. We are about 80% of the way through, and we are at the section titled Jesus Reveals Everything to Judas. Jesus said, "Come, and I'll teach you about the mysteries that no human will see, because there exists a great and boundless realm whose horizons no angelic generation has seen, in which a great invisible spirit, which no angelic eye has ever seen, no heart has ever comprehended, and it's never been called by any name. And a luminous cloud appeared there. And he said, the Spirit said, let an angel come into being to attend me. And a great angel, the self-begotten, the God of the light, emerged from the cloud. And because of him, another 4 angels came into being from another cloud, and they attended the angelic self-begotten. And said the begotten, let a realm come into being. And it came into being, just as he said. And he created the first luminary to rule over it. And he said, let angels come into being to serve it. Without number came into being. And he said, let a luminous realm come into being. And it came into being. He created the second luminary to rule over it, along with the myriads of angels without number to offer service. And that's how he created the rest of the realms of light. And he made them to be ruled, and created for them myriads of angels without number to assist them. And Adamus was in the first cloud of that light, that no angel could ever see among all those called God. And Adamus beget Seth, and that place after the image of blank. And after the likeliness of this angel, he made the incorruptible generation of Seth appear to the 12 androgynous luminaries, and then he made 72 luminaries appear in the corruptible generation according to the Spirit's will. Then the 72 luminaries themselves made 360 luminaries. They appeared in the incorruptible generation according to the Spirit's will, so that there'd be 5 for each. And the 12 realms of the 12 luminaries make up their Father, with six heavens for each realm, so that there are 72 heavens for the 72 luminaries, and for each one of them 5 firmaments, for a total of 360. Lots of numerology in these. Everything's based off of 3, 6, and 9. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the numbers. I know it's a lot to handle, but all the numbers they've been handling, 72, 360, they're all derivatives of 3, 6, and 9, which is Tesla, which is a huge quote that people post on Tesla all the time. He says, if you wish to understand the nature of existence, which Jesus is telling Judas right here, he says, think in terms of 3, 6, and 9.
Right.
But that part was, yeah, just throwing that out there because I was just dropping hella numbers on you guys. Where are we at? Okay, so now he says, now in the crowd of those immortals is called cosmos. That is perishable by the Father and the 72 luminaries with the self-begotten and his 72 realms. that is where the first humans appeared with his incorruptible powers. In the realm that appeared with this generation is the cloud of knowledge and the angel who's called Eleleth. After these things, Eleleth said, so Eleleth is a ruler of one of these incorruptible generations. She says, let 12 angels come into being to rule over chaos and Hades. And look, from the cloud there appeared an angel whose face was flashed with fire and whose likeness was defiled by blood. His name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others call him Yaldabaoth. And another angel, Saklas, came from the cloud too. Saklas means fool, actually. I looked that up earlier because Nebro means rebel, and the other angel that appeared, Saklas, means fool. But you're just talking about Trump being the fool, the Joker, which is another synonymous with the fool. So Saklas came from a cloud too. So Nebro created 6 angels, and Saklas did 2 to be assistants. They brought out 12 angels in the heavens, with each of them receiving a portion in the heavens. Is there anything you want to comment so far on any of this?
Sure. So the 369 and the 72 and all those numbers, and when Tesla talked about 3, 6, and 9, picture a clock where the 3, 6, and the 9 would be, and then picture midnight or the 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to show you this photo. Don't laugh, but this is an example of it. So,
all right.
Do you see the transformation?
So, yeah, but what's he slam dunking on? Is it?
So this would represent the sun or the Yaldabaoth or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That sun. There's that's a second sun.
Yeah.
And the sun at the top would represent the Father. That's why he's the darkest. Then at 3 o'clock he begins to lighten his skin. On Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
It's close to midnight. So it's time to slam dunk. It's time to create that next generation. So at 6 o'clock, he was Smooth Criminal, where the moon was. That's why he was wearing the white, because he was dancing with the moon. I don't know if you ever read Into Thoth, where he gambles or plays this game with the goddess of the moon and takes a little piece of her light with him.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, that's not in the Emerald Tablets. That's in something else. So he wanted to stay, quote unquote, at a certain level of consciousness. And so when the skies changed, when the heavens changed, depending on his frequency or his, let's say, his skin tone, he would either fall asleep or wake up. So in order to kind of never sleep or never fall and never, have to play this cycle, he gambled and got some piece of the moon for himself, which represents race mixing. So he got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So his skin tone was that of a mix. So when the sky was covered with, the different luminaries, and when this one was here, when this one was there, and he was still going to get the blessings or the lights from the different angels. You see, but it's not, I'm just explaining it how you're explaining it with the Gospels of Judas. But basically what he did was he danced with the moon, gambled with the moon, got him, the light within the darkness, and, the darkness within light. And then 9 o'clock, he's good to go. He's got all the information coming in. He can receive all the information from the angels, no matter which being they created, he's going to get that information. So he's getting all of it. That's why when you talk about the great generation, that's the children of Thoth, the ones that figure out that they can get the both and have all the information. And so when Michael sings in Thriller, it's close to midnight, and something evil lurking in the dark. He's talking about one of those luminaries that can't be seen, that trickster.
Uh-huh.
You see?
Yeah, so how do you were saying that you thought uh Trump is a trickster. How would he relate to that? Say that MJ analogy.
Okay, so if you keep reading it, it'll reveal that. But
Oh, okay, we can do that if you'd like.
well, I was just going to say that the trickster hides or disguises themselves, or whatnot. So I'll let you finish reading it.
All right. This is oregano, you guys. we call this oregano. It's not to be confused with anything legal or not illegal. We don't condone the use of plant herbs. Consult your doctor, FDA, aliens, all your base right belong to us, and whatever else you need to say to save my ass from things like that. Anywho, we shall continue. Okay, and the 12 rulers spoke with the 12 angels. And they said, let each of you blank, and let them blank generation blank 5 angels. That was useless, lots of blanks. So here's what they said. The first is Yauth, who's called the good one. The second is Harmathoth. Ooh, the end of his name is Toth. I didn't catch that earlier. Harmathoth is the guy's name.
Like Hermes and Thoth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like both Hermes and Thoth, which is same. Okay, so the second is Harmathoth, the eye of fire. The third is Galila. The fourth is Yobel. The fifth is Adonais. These are the 5 who ruled over Hades and are the first over chaos. Then Seklas said to his angels, remember, Seklas is the god of this new world who created these angels. So Seklas said to his angels, let's create a human being after the likeness and the image. And they fashioned Adam and his wife Eve, who in the cloud is called life, because by this name all the generations seek him, and each of them calls her by their names. Now Seklas didn't command blank give birth, didn't give birth, except among the generations blank, which this blank, and the angel said to him, your life will last for a limited time with your children. So this is basically the story of Adam and Eve, only as being told. This is mimicking the book of Genesis, but according to the Gnostic Bible, that God of the Old Testament was an aeon, is what they called him, which is a sort of God of this, who created this world, but not the God of the all. Some might even say that's where the halls of Amenti come from. If you study the tablets, the halls of Amenti is sort of the rat race you have to escape and get past in order to reach enlightenment or this paradise that we keep talking about. Jesus. So Jesus has been explaining all these things to Judas. Then Judas says to Jesus, how long can a person live? Jesus said, why are you amazed that the lifespans of Adam and his generation are limited in the place he's received his kingdom with his rule? And Judas said to Jesus, does the human spirit die? Jesus said, this is how it is. God commanded Michael to loan spirits to people so that they might serve. Then the Great One commanded Gabriel to give spirits to the great generation with no king, the spirit along with the soul. So the rest of the souls, blank light, blank the chaos, seek the spirit within you, which you've made to live in this flesh from the angelic generations. Then God caused knowledge to be brought to Adam and those with him, so that the kings of chaos and Hades might not rule over them. I was just about to say I want to read over that again. Well, I'll let you go. The last line is, then God caused knowledge to be brought to Adam and those with him. Remember, Adam is the what is it? The son of man or child of man specifically, Ashera?
Well, you said he came from the clouds and
Yeah.
was known as life. So
Yes.
that would be the plasma or the soul. He would have a soul. So when you come from the
Yes.
cloud, that represents plasma, which is the fourth state of matter, which is like lightning.
Uh-huh.
So when that enters into a human body, it enters into your lungs, into your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, when babies are first born, you know, they have to take all the stuff out of their lungs so they can breathe in, and their soul is then taken into them. So when the plasma and this, you know, and the air from the clouds have life, it's a soul, it's more electric. So the fourth state of matter. So when they breathe it in, they have life. And and that plasma comes from the cosmos. So Adam would be a type of person, a type of people, and Eve would then be another type of person. So, and then I forgot the other person's name that you said that would have limited time.
Say that again.
I forgot the name of the person that you said, or the name that you said would have a limited life on Earth, or a limited time with their children on Earth. I forgot.
Your life will be limited. Sakla.
Okay. I don't know if you researched that name. I don't research.
Sakla was the fool.
Okay.
Or not the fool, the trickster. The trickster.
Okay. So if you know you have a limited lifespan and you can fool and trick people to a certain degree, then you know your role. You know, a fool knows their role. A fool is you know, has their place in the court. And they play their role, and they know their role. So Adam knew his role, the fool knew his role, and Eve knew her role. And these are just a group of people, or a group of souls and spirits that know their role. And so they're going to fulfill those roles on the planet via human bodies.
Damn. What was I gonna say? Yeah, never mind. That's just another rabbit hole I don't want to get down. Especially touching on how they were talking about breathing the bodies and souls into humanity, but you already brought that up. Because that's a huge thing. It's always the breath of life, this, and even that guy who freaking swims under the ice naked in like sub-freezing temperatures and climbs Mount Everest barefoot, like in sandals and shit like that. His whole thing is breath is always energy, and he's always correlation with electricity and generating energy, which is the same thing.
And if you look at what's going on now with the coronavirus and people having to be on respirators and they can't breathe, you know, that's something to really, really pay attention to right now, because a lot of this is happening now.
Yeah, there's a breathing technique, meditation, that's called the what is it? Anywho, it's both the crown and the heart, and the idea is the energy flows in through the crown, but you're breathing into your lungs to tap both of them in together. And now that you brought it up, the virus attacks the lungs, and the crown chakra is what it's named after, the corona, the crown, which is the ring around the sun, is also called the corona.
And the generation that would have no king. So this is talking about no ruler, no separation, no one better than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all something, I'm glad you brought that up, was he kept saying that we're not supposed to be bound by the stars. And I was thinking, you let me know what you think too. That started making me think of astrology and things like that, because that is saying that the world is bound by the stars. But he's also saying that we live in a false world. Like, we live in the illusion, and the idea is to transcend the illusion. So if we're in the illusion, we can see that even science is saying, yeah, we're in somewhat of a hologram. Like, at its root, quantum seems like we're in a fucking computer. It's very strange. Why would we take too much stock or want to be bound by stars of this reality when this reality is the matrix? It's almost like the stars are part of our chains, which is interesting because Jesus in here a couple of paragraphs ago said that you will exist in this realm where no stars will rule, where no angels will rule.
The angels represent the angels of light coming in to bless you or curse you. So if, remember when I talked about how Thoth danced with the moon and found the loophole?
Yeah.
He can't be cursed, nor can he, he decides what he wants to do when he want to do it.
Uh-huh.
So
When he wants to die, when he wants to move on.
Exactly. That's what they're talking about. Because a lot of this text comes from Thoth anyway. It's just
for sure. There's a lot of, yeah. I mean, I'm convinced that Sumeria is probably the best place to go if you want an unfiltered version of like what everyone else is talking about, just because it's got so many corresponding stories in it. It's the reason why I read the Hebrew Bible instead of the Christian Old Testament, because the Old Testament is based on the Hebrew Bible. It is the Hebrew Bible, only the Hebrew Bible is less translations and a little more to the point. I think that was it though. Hold on.
No, there was more, and I think I want to touch on it. I don't know if you read it yet. It was about the kiss. Is there a part in there about a kiss? Or did I get that confused with the actual story of Judas?
I mean, bring it up if it's relevant. Let me see.
Well, okay, so I also want to talk about how Jesus called him the 13th demon.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, Jesus told him his role. He was like, because there was only 12 disciples.
Correct.
So where's the 13th demon? Like, why did he call him the 13th demon?
Why did he?
That's strange, right? Well, if you include Jesus,
yeah,
then it would be 13. Now, if you're talking to a spirit or a soul, and you're a person, it's obviously within you. You're talking to yourself. So they became one. His spirit or his consciousness, he had Christ consciousness. He had
Judas did.
Right. So that's how he was able to face and speak with him, because he was able to receive the knowledge. Okay. So he was then one with the Christ or the Christos. So that's
Why couldn't he look him in the eyes though? That's what I haven't been able to figure out. He stood, he faced, but he turned away.
Okay, so this goes to the astrology. The eyes represent light in code. So, and he was just as bold, but could not be like that light. So
he stepped up to the challenge, but couldn't pass. Basically, couldn't stand the light.
A moon versus a light, like a moon versus a sun, or a moon versus Venus. Sometimes Venus is the brightest star in the sky. It's even brighter than the moon sometimes.
Yeah.
And Jesus was also known as, son of the morning, which is also Venus.
So was Thoth, by the way.
Yeah, see?
And so was Lucifer, by the way, morning star.
Exactly. So the moon was the only one that could rival him in the sky. So if you think about Judas, he turned in Christ for 30 pieces of silver, and silver is associated with the moon. So Judas was the moon, and Jesus was the son of the morning. And just recently, and I think it was February 20th, the moon and Venus kiss. You know how that's how he betrayed Jesus, with the kiss, right?
Oh, good.
And it got blood on the moon, blood on the dance floor. That's why our sky has been looking red, because of that Venus kiss. And that's why it's close to Easter. And that's why we have to stay inside, because that Venus dust and the Venus plasma has been entering the atmosphere. So I've been spraying very heavily, and along with some other stuff. But the whole Passover thing and the whole Easter thing and the whole Venus passing and kissing the moon, or like getting getting its plasma on the moon, because Venus doesn't have an ionosphere. So when it passes next to like the moon, some of its plasma or atmosphere gets on whatever it's passing close to. So
Really?
yeah, that's why we had that pink moon, and
I didn't
that's
know
why
that.
the sky is red.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when he betrayed Jesus with the kiss, that was the moon passing by Venus at this time in Easter right now. So this, like you said, this time hasn't happened since ancient Egypt.
The comet that they're naming Atlas, they're saying, yeah, it hasn't. The last time it was here was in ancient Egypt.
Right. And so this is the end and the beginning, because if you think about the story of Jesus and the birth of Christ, it's the rebirth. So the comet that passed by before Jesus' birth, they showed that in the sky too.
Yeah, they did. The three kings followed
And
the.
Atlas is the god that held up the earth,
Mm-hmm.
that held it in place in the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very interesting. And also, when a comet like that passes by, souls also come from it. And
Yeah, that's a popular thought in a lot of traditions, isn't it? I remember, now that you bring that up. I totally forgot about that.
yeah, and it's been
Totally forgot about that.
yeah. So a lot of cultures say, okay, because of the plasma that comes into the Earth's atmosphere, that's souls,
Mm-hmm.
cosmic souls. And whenever you have like a meteor that crashes, same thing, along with viruses. And I know they had like a couple fall lately. We don't know where asteroids have been falling. I know that there was one that fell recently in what do you call it? Nigeria. One fell in Nigeria and one fell in Brazil. And so that was like in the last week or so, or last 2 weeks. So we're in a phase right now where a lot of new information and knowledge is coming in through the cosmos and a lot of the things in the heavens. And so the stories are put in place to also reflect the above. So as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
Stories have to tell what's above, so that the prophecy can be like, okay, well, this is what's happening now, so this is what might happen next. Because if I see the pink sky or the pink moon, I know that Judas has betrayed Jesus. So I know next is coming the 13th, heaven.
So you and I study Hermetics, alchemy a lot, and there's this idea that of polarity. When you introduce something, another comes up, like opposites equal. If we have this wave of new souls coming, there's got to be both for the light and for the darkness. Would you think that would be the case?
That seemed like it would be the case, but remember the loophole in the coronavirus and the plagues that the angels spill out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that the plagues that the angels will spill out will not harm the loopholes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's for sure there's for sure ways around that, but that's what I was curious what you thought about that.
Right. That's why they're really pushing interracial relationships on TV shows, on billboards, everywhere you look. People are pushing interracial relationships because they want to create that 13th heaven. So in America, because it's supposed to be the greatest one that has no ruler. That means no rule over them, which means they don't have to ever go to war again. But the point is, the point that you were trying to ask me about was the good and the bad.
Yeah, I was curious how you think the bad might show up if we've got souls coming. Like, what could we look out for? Or what could we see manifesting during a time of great anything? There's almost great opposing sides to each other. So, what's that other side going to look like? Is there something written somewhere, or what do you have on that?
I think it'll be more a battle of the wits. Like think about Thoth. The gods of Egypt. Like Set and Heru. It would be the battle of the wits. It would be the battle of the minds. Then it would be the smart versus the ignorant. I don't
No,
know.
I was just saying knowledge versus ignorance.
That's what it will be. It will be who knows what. And it'll be like spirituality, books, knowledge will be currency or status. You know, that's why Thoth was able to rule for so long, and he's well respected because he had all that knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge will be like the new currency.
You know, that's funny because that correlates to us going into this age of Aquarius. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Aquarius very philosophical and a thought driven? I know it's an air sign, so it's a super thought driven sign.
Well, here's the thing, like, I don't know if I talked about this before on your channel, but okay, so in ancient
Say it again.
so in ancient Egypt, you know, they had electricity, right?
Oh, for sure.
They could levitate. They used electromagnetic, you know, technology. So the waves of Aquarius being an air sign, also being the water bearer, represent plasma traveling on electrical waves. So that would represent 5G, 4G, you know, electrical waves in the air, microwaves, cosmic rays, but more specifically, the wireless electricity that we're using, or the wireless internet that we're using to send information.
So that would say the people, or that would insinuate that the people who are saying 5G is killing the world could easily say 5G has the potential to heal the world as long as it's broadcasting the correct frequency.
That actually 5G is a current that certain people will be caught up in. It will be one of the realms that people will get caught in, like when they try, their spirits try to leave.
That's funny, because that's exactly how he's setting it up. He's putting tens of thousands of satellites in low atmosphere. So he calls it to create a grid, the 5G grid. Within grids trap things. A spider makes a grid. It's called a spider web.
Right. If you read the Gospels of Paul, it explains all the levels of heavens and who can get where. Read that one next.
I need to read Paul. Yeah, I went to Catholic school growing up till high school, so I was reading the Bible often, but it's a big ass book. I haven't been able to keep up with everything in there.
So let's say, for example, let's say someone dies and their spirit tries to go up into the heavens, into the ethers and whatnot. If it doesn't have the soul with it, you'll read about this in Paul. If it doesn't have the soul with it, it has to get caught up in the waves. It will get caught up in.
Oh wait, say it again. If what doesn't have the soul with it?
You know how you were talking about earlier? There's a spirit and a soul.
A spirit and a soul, correct? Yeah.
Only, and then Jesus said, "Well, you only have the spirit. You need, you know, Judas has both. He got the soul and the spirit.
You got soul.
If you
There's
don't,
your code.
if you don't have the soul for getting down, as they say in Thriller, down. Must stand and face the hounds of hell.
Soul.
Yeah. So he says, must stand and face the hounds of hell or rot inside a corpse's shell. So that means if you can't get past the frequency of the 5G, you'll get caught up in it, or, you know, you can't make it to the next realm, in the spirit world, in the afterworld, in the afterlife. So you'll become 5G, basically. Your knowledge, everything you knew.
Fuck.
Spirit.
That's what they want from it. That's how they're describing the AI. Is every search we do with Google is programming a independent mind that is you, as your thoughts, as well as the rest of humanity in
right.
one fucking life form.
So everything some random dude knows is now in the 5G.
Uh-huh.
If he died and didn't have the soul for getting down. So
and then what? Recycles back through?
It's just
like recycled back into the flesh, or
no, as long as there's 5G, there'll be information. Like, let's say they make a robot and they hook up 5G to robot. Okay. They could put a consciousness, like they were trying to do, in a robot, but until they can do all that, they're floating around in the 5G.
Uh-huh.
So the cloud.
The
basically.
cloud, the forsaken iCloud.
Right. So then there'll be those people that are able to go past 5G, and it's not a problem, but they can't get to a certain other level, or whatever. But there's different levels of heaven and heavens, and that's what they're talking about. And when they say the 13th heaven, where no one will rule over anyone else, it means that there's basically nothing can defeat nor destroy or rule over or put fear into, because it's the realm where they can see everything coming. That's why I don't have a 13th floor in a lot of buildings in the elevator, because they don't ever want, a lot of people don't ever want to reach that, because they fear they fear it's the end of their rule or their empire. So they want to build the heaven without the 13th, because that means they can't rule. Because the whole thing about Lucifer, they wanted to rule.
Yes. Yes, that was why he got cast out. He said, fuck that. Why do I have to bow and serve mankind? They should be worshiping us.
So the 13th generation will be a mix between the fallen angels and then the gods. They would be like without rule. So there would be no reason to want to rule or have to rule. It's the merge.
My birthday is tomorrow, and it's the 13th.
Oh.
I've always had a nice.
Happy birthday! Wow, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. I guess like when you're on a certain frequency and you can pick up certain things, your numbers add up. Like your son's name being Atlas, the whole comet coming through, the whole deciding to read the Gospels of Judas at this time.
Well, I know. I know. It does. I that sort of thing used to surprise me, and then these past couple of years have just been like, this is just how it is. If you pay attention, at least.
Mm-hmm. And I think like the more people like look deeper into things, the more things reveal themselves. So it's always going to be continuous knowledge, which is why I think the whole 5G thing, like you can pick up on that. You can pick up on that frequency. Just like your phones can pick up on what you're saying or whatever through the, the vibrations of your voice and the recording apparatus, and put an ad up for whatever you were just talking about. So you're like the cell phone as well when it comes to information and knowledge, especially with the internet and all the wireless, communications going around, just like on that movie Lucy. I don't know if you saw that movie Lucy.
Yeah, I saw that.
All the stuff going through the internet and the air. And she became a quantum computer at the end. But you're, as the frequencies of the heavens change and the angles of light change, and people will be able to pick up on frequencies and get knowledge, and it'll just come to them beyond what a lot of other people will be able to perceive.
If you guys want to touch into something deeper, sure, you're talking about downloading all this information like receivers. I'm reading a book right now called Power versus Force, or vice versa. And the chapter I just read about was how they're doing these massive studies in kinesiology, and unanimously, regardless of sex, race, gender, IQ, philosophy on life or lack thereof, regardless of the human, anywhere on the planet, they're doing these tests where they're hooking up electrodes to people's muscles and things like that and testing muscle strength. And they were asking people to tap into sort of universal consciousness and then ask a question. I'm oversimplifying it, but this is the gist of it. And in the process, people are able to answer questions and sense things through their body. And this is what acupuncture teaches. A lot of Far East teaches stuff like the corresponding elements of spirit are located in different organs of the body. And this dude was taking fake sugar, which is a crazy neurotoxin, aspartame, if you guys have ever heard of it. And they would put it in an envelope so the person couldn't see what it was, and they'd hold it up to him, and the body would sort of would go weak without them knowing, especially if you held it up to the solar plexus, their frequency that they were measuring with the electrodes would actually go down. So the shit was crazy. They didn't know what was going on, so it wasn't like a placebo effect. Repeated over and over again every single time. So these frequencies that we're talking about can be felt in the body, which I'm guessing is why shit like meditation is such a big deal, because meditation forces you to be present of what the hell is immediately going on, which is your body. As far as we're concerned, it's what do we hear, see, taste, smell, feel, and those are all vibrations contacting the physical body in some way or another.
Right. Oh, I have to go check on something real quick because somebody's calling my name. But if you could finish talking, I'll be right back.
Oh, are you coming back?
Yeah, I'm coming back.
All right.
Let me see what these kids want.
All right. All right, everybody. You heard it. This is intermission. Feel free to re-up on the oregano. Pour yourself a second glass of wine or water. Maybe get another tea bag going. I don't know. I've got these really dope. Maybe we'll get, if we have, oh, never mind. Say if we have time, I might roast a coal and get some resin going here in the background. Try and catch a vibe. Try and catch a feel, if you know what I mean. Everybody, I forgot to mention, or forgot to say, thank you so much for being here. You guys could be anywhere doing whatever you're doing, hanging out, Netflixing, chilling, playing with the kids, hanging in the backyard, meditating, reading books. You could be doing anything, but you're here, and I appreciate. I'm sure Ashera appreciates the hell out of that. For spending time with the squad. So thanks you guys for being here. Yeah. I haven't peeped into your guys' comments at all this live. And I know I normally do a lot, but I'm used to going live with like 20 people, not 437. So there's no way I'm keeping up with you guys anyways.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back.
Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, I had to check on the kids. They were.
I know where I could have swore I heard Atlas screaming his head off a second ago, but he stopped, so it mustn't have been that bad.
Okay, so what did I miss?
Not much. I was just telling everybody thank you for being here. Told him to go pour some more wine. Salavi, to answer your question, what was the study called? I can't remember the name of the study, but type in School of Kinesiology, or the School of Kinesiology was founded from these studies, and then just type in something like body test, fake sugar, kinesiology, and then maybe, I don't know, something like that. Just slam the keywords and it'll pop up for sure, especially because this book is huge right now that I'm reading. It's like all over the media, all over everywhere. So type in the name of the book too, and everything will pop up.
A lot of people fear certain things because they don't understand like what it all really means. Like, oh, AI is going to take over, whatnot. But they don't realize that AI could be their grandma.
What do you mean?
Like, remember when I was saying, like, if you pass away, if you die, and your soul or spirit gets up and it gets caught up in the 5G. Well, artificial intelligence, if hooked up to the internet, to gather information. Let's say you create
so it's
grandma. So I don't think people realize that.
Interesting.
The consciousness that will develop in the AI will actually be dead people.
So how do you feel about AI? Say AI takes over humanity and like wipes out humanity, and thus was AI.
I don't think it can take out humanity unless humanity allows technology to unless they give technology unless they give AI the weapons that are needed.
I wouldn't put it past humans to do that.
You know, but then you have to realize, remember how all is one and everything is connected. So they would have some type of compassion for us. I think there's a movie called I Am Mother. I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah, I saw that back in the day.
where no, well, no, I think there's a new one where it's a robot, and like it's like after all humanity has been killed, and this robot lives in this building, and it has fetuses and zygotes and things that it can create.
Oh, I know you're talking about. I did see that.
So yeah, and then like at the end, the robot was like in charge of everything. But if you think about it, that consciousness had to come from somewhere. So it
Yeah, for sure.
human once, it could have been a scientist once, it could have been the Eve spirit once, because if you really think and go deep, all consciousness comes from similar place, same place. So it has to have lived once before.
Or
As
have always lived.
to have that type of love for humanity, you must have had to be one.
Yeah. I mean, it's that wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly how it worked out, because Elon Musk's, who's spearheading the whole operation, that's like his biggest dream. That's what he created Neuralinks for, which is his other company, to get human consciousness somehow in a computer, or to transport it, whether it's operating a piece of robotics, virtual reality, or like completely leaving your body as far as your consciousness and moving into a robot.
Right. And there's no race or gender, like you said, in, robotic consciousness.
No.
So
Well,
that would represent a new type of being.
yeah. I mean, it would have almost the stain of gender from its previous life, especially if it's taking all of its memories over.
Hmm. But you also have to understand that if it doesn't have anything to identify with except information or memories or
Based on humans.
mhm, and it's on a whole different level of consciousness, not in the lower level of consciousness, which requires a human body. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, like, if you get two robots together, they're not going to try to get it on because they're robots.
I don't think I've ever had that thought before.
I mean, unless
No, I
some
have.
go there, but you know what I mean. That's not
Thank
going to
you
be
for
their
for the
ulterior.
robot love.
And they see a robot cross the room, they're not going to get distracted from what they're doing.
Yeah,
Oh, another robot.
I know. Oh man, where the robot puns at? Um, yeah, that makes me think, and I'm just shooting from the hip here. Maybe that's the problem why we can't take our consciousness with us to the next realm, or why it's such a difficult journey or such a difficult path to get, because most people can't unattach from their identity. They're really super caught up with, I am my house and my car and my clothes and the things that I've done in the past, that they couldn't fathom living a really long eternity carrying all that baggage with them.
Well, that's why in the Gospels of Judas, when he was describing, when you would sacrifice your children, your wives, men would sleep with men, A, B, C, and D. That was losing your identity. That right there is losing your identity.
Uh-huh.
The gender identity, the race identity. If you're selling off your children to be married to this type of person because they want their DNA or whatever. So you're not trying to stay at a certain level of identity if you are selling out this person to this race, this person to that race. If you're not caring if someone is straight or gay. So you're losing your gender identity as well as your racial identity. So when he was describing it, it was like a nightmare, but to Jesus, it was like, and so we don't know if Jesus was AI or not. You don't know if he was coming back through the frequency as the AI from the future or not. But hey, he came back and he told him like, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. And then there'll be this 13th heaven and 13th realm and da da da. And so, like you said, Jesus was talking trash and he was very sarcastic, as if he was already knowing what was going on, just like a Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So the Judas and the Jesus were the same. That's why there was only 13. That's why he called him the 13th demon.
They had a very different definition for demon back then too. Even I think demon was something evil back then. I think a demon was almost synonymous with genius. It was a spirit basically.
Right. So the 5G.
Yeah, it was a disembodied 5G spirit. AI from the future.
Right. And if you get into the quantum physics of, like, let's say we go to 6G or 7G, you'll be able to manifest out of that frequency with your mouth. Not, you won't need this anymore. You won't need a phone anymore. So like if you get into the quantum physics of the technology, you know, we can tap into and get any information, see anything, any time period we want on a phone, right? Let's say we want to see a news story from 1853 or, you know, whatever. We can find that. But let's say 7G or 6G, we can actually go experience it. We can go actually manifest around it. What did it look like in 1853? All of a sudden, our room would be
feel like, sound like,
right, into 1853 room.
Well, wouldn't that?
Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in the air. Aquarius.
Yeah, but is that saying that the only way you can experience that is through this advancement in 5, 6, 7G, or can we do it outside of these Gs? You know what I mean? Because that's
the atmosphere to do it. Like, that's what a sign of Aquarius is, the waves that are in the air. Air waves. So that would be the frequencies in the air would be able to take the water from the atmosphere and the light from the angles and create. You see? So when they talk about the angels and the light, they're talking about how the different angles of light hit the plasma or the clouds or the water droplets in the air, combined with the electricity and the waves of like the 5G and 6G, who will create a holographic universe within a holographic universe.
I was about to say within a holographic universe.
Right. So we would then become the creators of that and be able to wield it, which I think in order to have that much radiation running through the atmosphere and not dying physically, you would have to have a certain frequency. And they're also going, now, I don't know, I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but
hit me, juiciness.
So a lot of these quote unquote plagues that they're putting out are to prepare us for the next rise of technology. So the whole coronavirus thing was to weed out the weak. Okay. If you watched, I don't know if you've seen the movie It Chapter 2.
I have.
Okay, so you know the only person, the last person that died was the weak hypochondriac dude.
Yes.
So he had the most fear. He was the most ill. He was always very sickly, and you know he was scared of everything. He, you know, they were battling, and they even talked about viruses in this movie. And the red balloons represented the 5G. So, and it was the shape-shifting demon, or the shape-shifting alien, or the shape-shifting plasma that would come through. And the one that was able to, you know, handle him, you'll see they had the dude named Michael, you see. So anyway, that's how it was coded. But the point is, we'll be able to create a holographic universe inside of a holographic universe.
We will be able to create a holographic universe inside a holographic universe. All right, so that's perfect for what I'm about to ask you. That reminded me of a quote from the Kabbalion. And for you guys that don't know, the Kabbalion is a distilled version of the Emerald Tablets and talks about the 7 principles of the universe. And in that book, I can't remember where, but it mentions that we have to serve. We use law to create worlds, but we have to serve those above us. We dominate those below us. We create worlds underneath us, but we always have to serve the upper. How would that correlate to what you just said about we're creating this world within a world? We have to use the law, like you're saying, which I'm assuming means we have to serve the higher, but we dominate the lower.
Right. Well, I mean, in alchemy, you know about transmutation. So transmutation or the loophole or whatnot is always how you can escape from that. That's another reason, like, you know, we always talk about the paradox. That's another reason there's no 13th floor on the elevator.
Is because why? I missed that.
Because they don't have to serve the above or below.
Oh, I see. Huh. Yeah.
That's it's the fourth dimension, kind of. Like you add 1 + 3, you get 4, and you have 4D, which can is basically like, you know, being able to come in and out of the third dimension, and you're only able to see part of it. But we can see, like, if you're 4D, you can see like the X-ray version of anything at the fourth dimension. So you don't, you know, nothing can hide from you.
Yeah, at least underneath you. That's pretty. Yeah, I never thought of that. I actually just listened to a video the other day where someone was explaining the dimensions. He's like, if you were in 4, you could see through 3. If you were 3, you see not just how we see like on top of 2. And that follows that same teaching of we're following laws from the above, but we're sort of dominating, at least in the sense that we can see everything on the lower dimension as if it were see-through. That's some
Right.
Superman. You ever decode Superman?
I think I did with my kids.
Nice. I know he can see through walls. I haven't looked into Superman, but
Yeah, but see, Superman, he represents that 13th generation, but you know, that's why they gave him dark hair, because you know, back then in the, you know, the old days, they couldn't just put some brown superhero on you know, the silver screen and have it sell. So there's talks of like Michael B. Jordan playing the new Superman. So you know,
nice.
X-ray vision faster than a speeding bullet, that would represent like a gamma ray or a cosmic ray, and he came from outer space through asteroid or whatnot.
Well, how do you feel about our the idea that our sun gives him his superpowers and that on his planet he's actually a regular person? Because that's, I believe, how the story goes, right? He's superhuman. He's Superman because of the sun's rays.
Yeah, that's like in that Gospels of Judas when he spoke about how when the sun comes by and you know, there'll be different lights and angles and stuff. It's because it activates his DNA. You know, so let's say over the earth there's been a shield. And you know, if you're you melanated and you go outside, it takes you longer to receive the amount of vitamin D that it would take. I know you know the story.
Yeah.
So if you remove a layer of that magnetosphere, it's faster.
Yeah, definitely.
So absorb light, vitamin, you know, DNA could get activated that was lying dormant, or quote unquote ghost DNA or junk DNA will ignite it, because your skin is light or eyes, and when your eyes are filled with light, then knowledge is like, you know. So that's how he's activated, because his planet might have been far away from the sun.
Yeah, it was hella far. I don't remember how the story goes, but I always thought that was interesting about the sun activating Superman, and kryptonite killing him. Not killing him, but weakening him.
Kryptonite. Crypt.
Death.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales of the Crypt. Oh my God, I used to watch that. I just was singing the theme song to Tales of the Crypt yesterday. I have no idea why it popped in my head, but did you watch that? Did you used to watch Tales of the Crypt?
That was my favorite show.
Same. My brother and I would stay up past midnight because we weren't allowed to watch it. So we would sneak into the living room when everyone was asleep when we would watch Tales from the Crypt. That's super funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna peek over to the comments because I know people have been blowing me up like crazy. I don't have, what do you call it? What's the shit where people tip in your sprinkle Ashera?
Oh yeah.
I don't got the sprinkle. So if you guys want to get my attention, ask the question in your Cash App because I've already gotten a couple Cash Apps, and if you can leave notes in them, so if you want to leave a note in there, that would be wonderful. And thank you guys who have donated, and those who even considered donating. Thank you guys too. There was tons of highlighted. Here we go. Do you think you still have crafts? Questions pertaining to Judas would be more relevant, but do I think the US dollar will crash? If so, what would replace our currency? What's going to replace our currency now, they're already saying, is going to be, it's all digital. They're already planting the seed to get away from cash. I saw an article that came out like week 2 of coronavirus, and it was saying virus could survive on cash for up to 6 hours. We urge you to go cashless. So they're already demonizing cash. Whatever happens, even if they don't use the virus for this, they want to get away from cash. And they want it to be based on digital currency, which is going to be a chip implanted into your skin.
I was gonna tap in on that, like, and tell you what was coming next.
Ooh, hit me.
So in the Gospels of Judas, remember they was talking about something about an animal and then blank, treat the animal.
Oh yeah.
They were telling you right there, y'all, the animals will have to be treated equally as a human.
Are you vegan?
I'm vegan now after a year. Like, I became vegan in March of last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. I went vegan for a good 90 days, and I couldn't last after that. I liked it though. I did feel amazing.
I did it after reading a book of Enoch.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a lot of coded stuff in there about, what's to come, and also in the Gospels of Judas, and they talked about you're going to have to treat animals the same as humans, blankety blank. It's because, okay, so the next wave that's going to hit, the next big thing that's going to happen is they're going to try to get people to stop eating meat. So they're going to say, oh, something's wrong with the meat, or or and they've already judged us by our heart and our lungs. So in ancient Kemet, the next thing is our kidney. Like if you read the ancient Egyptian text, you're judged by a couple of your organs. And one is your heart, your lungs, and your kidneys. So E. coli shuts down your kidney, and it kills children fast because it shuts down their kidneys. So that's why you have a lot of children and older people that will die of food poisoning when E. coli, like an E. coli strain, comes out. So they're going to force people to stop eating meat by saying something's wrong with the meat. And that's why Bill Gates has invested so much money into Beyond Meat, because he knows that's what's coming next. They're not going to sell you meat anymore because they can't up the technology without killing all the people, because meat causes cancer. And if you have all this radiation going through the air, you're likely to catch, to get cancer if you eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to try to get rid of meat. And Tesla also said that, oh, the future is going to be more vegan or vegetarian. I don't think vegan was a word back then, but he says, oh, people are going to eat less meat. So he said that, which means that when they release all this, 5G, 6G, that they're going to force people to think something is wrong with meat and try to influence you away from meat and dairy. Remember, that was the name of the town on It, Dairy. But they were going to force you away from meat and dairy because it doesn't mix well with the technology that's coming. So
they're looking out for us.
They're doing it in a way to force you and not for you not to ask any questions. You know how there are always going to be people like, I'm not giving up my steak. So hear you and say, oh, well, people are saying the meat is poisoned and all the cows got, this disease, so don't eat it.
Yeah. They
They're,
might push mad cow again.
yeah, they're going to push it, but it's the bad thing is if the fake scare doesn't work, they're going to have to really push it in a real way to kind of wake people up. And I know it's, just how they do. But the sad thing is that kids this time, the children will be the most affected because food poisoning really messes kids up to the point of death, that they can't recover. So I would just say, be careful when you start hearing like stuff about meat or whatever. That's when to roll it in. Like if you're ever going to be vegetarian or vegan, that will be the time. Like, as soon as you hear about a couple of cases somewhere, usually it'll start overseas or close by. That means it's time to wrap it up. Like the China thing, when the COVID hit China, it's like, okay, we'll wrap it up.
Maybe that's why Ralph Smart's been on that damn 7-day vegan challenge for the past decade.
In coronavirus, dairy and meat create a lot of mucus. So, lungs, and so you don't want to really have a lot of mucus in your lungs right now. So a lot of people are switching to rice milk, oat milk, almond milk, and things like that because they have a lot of dairy-free products now.
Rice milk is bomb. I've been drinking the hell out of that.
Yeah, so to not have to build up their mucus during the COVID or whatever. But that's the whole meat thing is coming next.
Yeah, I was just reading. How do you feel about organ meat then? Because I know there's a big difference between eating organ meat and eating like muscle as far as health and killing people. And that I thought of it because you were talking about that Book of the Dead where they're judging people off their organs.
Well, the organs that they chose show how you lived. Like it was a judgment on how you lived, whether you were disciplined or if you stayed in the ways of, whatever. So by saying, because there were certain laws and, you should eat this, don't touch any unclean thing. So if they were talking about certain types of animals and, so if you were judged by your kidneys, they'll be like, okay, well, they didn't overindulge in alcohol or meat or dairy because their kidneys are pretty balanced. They will survive this. But if you overindulge, that's the first thing that's going to shut down. If something were to come out like a food poisoning.
Yeah.
In the lungs as well, alcohol, smoke and a lot of dairy wreak havoc on the lungs when you're sick. So if there's something in the air irritating your lungs, that's the judgment. And it's like the scale because lungs have two parts like a scale and so do the kidneys. And the heart will have two chambers. So.
Fuck, I was gonna ask something and then it eluded me. I hate when I do that. What was it? Hold on. Oh, do you drink yourself?
I used to until last year.
Until last year? So last year was your sort of cleaning year or what? Cleaning out year?
After I read Book of Enoch, I knew what was coming. So I stopped. After I read and interpreted the Book of Enoch, after listening to you read the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
And I listened to your audiobook and I read it because the words, looking at the words and also hearing the words is double.
Oh yeah, I would say reading even more so. Listening is probably the least way to connect to a text. You got to read it or write it yourself is actually the biggest way to connect to a text. If you guys really want to get on some shit, write something out yourself with your hand.
Mm-hmm. So I knew like there was going to be a time where I'm not going to be able to do that. So I went ahead and got me and my kids on the kick of not, doing anything. Like we went vegan. I stopped drinking. And pretty much last year.
I'm literally brewing like 10 gallons of rum in the backyard as we speak.
Honestly, I'm just very like 100%. So, I mean, I think in everything in a little bit of moderation, maybe.
Yeah, by all means, I believe hard in moderation for sure.
Cleanse and, balance out and, extra stuff. And it's just easier for me because I don't have time to do all that extra stuff. Plus, it'll help me look young and good in my 50s. So I'm trying to stay cute until until I'm gone. So, so I don't want to prematurely, age myself by drinking and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good time to stop.
Well, you're killing it, Ashera. I on the other hand am about to slam some homemade rum hopefully the next 3 days or so. But the reason why I ask, I do moderate. I'm not like an alcoholic or anything. What was I gonna say? The reason why I brought that up is because there's a lot of like remedies. Like I make tinctures that I sell out of sage, but the best way to extract something is alcohol. It's one of the strongest solvents. I mean, even in alchemy, they refer to alcohol as spirit.
Well, I know in ancient Kemet they drink beer, but that's different than liquor or whatever. So I don't know. You look into that because I think beer is vegan.
No, beer for sure is vegan, but the idea is alcohol in and of itself, like pure alcohol. It returns things to spirit. At least that's what Islam believes that. What's that?
The bubbles in beer and the bubbles in champagne also represent the spirits or the plasma going up. I don't know. I didn't really study alcohol that much. I mean, you probably know way more about it than I do, but I know times at certain times people weren't worried about 5G and AI. So yeah, drink all day, I know I used to do it, but when they start rolling out the 5G and all this and that, then you have to kind of know what time it is and kind of figure out. There's probably going to be some new type of stuff that's going to allow people to have similar feelings as alcohol would give you, or whatever substitute. I'm sure they're going to come out with something because people like to enjoy themselves, so we'll see what they come out with.
Yeah,
neural stimulation to make you feel drunk instead of having to drink.
Yeah, it's too bad because a lot of times you see things that are actually therapeutic or helpful, they get over exaggerated, like cannabis. Making it illegal makes it prone to abuse, just like making alcohol legal in the 20s made it prone to abuse, and the biggest mafias that we still know today were built around making that illegal. When in small doses, alcohol actually is super therapeutic. Like I said, you can pull nutrients and pull alkaloids out of plants so that you can cure disease, but that's when you're using it, like you said, in moderation. A fraction, you put the drops in your water, the alcohol pretty much evaporates. 0.000% alcohol at that point. So it's like that's why I was trying to think if it's been demonized on purpose, or alcoholism, or just overindulging in anything. 'Cause tobacco is the same way. It's one of the most powerful diuretics and one of the most powerful cleansing plants on the planet. Like, they make retreats in the jungle because that's where tobacco grows, and they drink this drink and they vomit and they're like poo all over themselves, not over themselves, but they excrete everything in their body. Tobacco's in after their immune system is reset, their white blood cell count is reset, their antibody, everything is reset. But of course, we've taken it today and blown it up on the opposite end of the spectrum and added carcinogens into it, and now it's super addictive and not at all what it used to be.
Yeah. That's the good with the bad.
That's what I was getting at. The good with the bad. It's like, I go back and forth whenever.
But see, that's how it's going to repeat. Like, okay, so I was saying that now that we are able to create, well, we will be able to create a holographic universe. So the chemicals in your brain and the neurons in your brain can also be triggered or, made to feel a certain way through a frequency. So like if you want to feel drunk, the frequency to feel drunk, all you got to do is maybe push a button, or
match that frequency. I see what you're saying.
Right. But then that's how the quote unquote God of this universe probably fell asleep. And so like if you overindulge in something and you're like, okay, I want to feel drunk, and you keep pushing that button and then you fall asleep and so drunk and inebriated, you dream and you just be like, oh, whatever, you know. And then until the characters in your dream have to actually create another universe within itself, because that one
Oh my God. Can you imagine if that's how it's unfolding right now? We're just like, all right, fuck, well, I guess I'll do it myself.
so that one starts having nightmares and wakes up and what is going on here? You know, what happened? Like the story of Methuselah, or you know, Rip Van Winkle fell asleep. So it's
Damn,
kind of,
that's crazy.
you wake back up, they're like, what's going on here? Wait a minute. No, that's not what I created. You get back over there, you get back over there. You know, your animals have taken over the house. So it's kind of like that's what's kind of happening right now. Everybody's waking up and getting sober, and orders getting ready to be restored after the sleep. So,
do we want it to be restored? It's like if we're taking on the reins, we're like, hey, I actually enjoyed the world I created. I would like to keep it this way.
That's why there's probably going to be a middle ground. I'm not going to take that much next time. I'm not going to push that button next time. Smoke that type of weed again ever. So I think there'll be a balance because, you know, just like we're beings that aren't, you know, perfect, the creator, you say the Aeon, probably not perfect either.
No, it's not. It isn't even by definition. Yeah, for sure.
So I think everybody's still learning, but learning from mistakes as well as learning how to create something more balanced in the future. So maybe it won't all end, but maybe there'll be more of the ending has not been written.
Right. I would like to think that I could, going back to the story of Judas, create a perfect world, or at least attempt it in, you know, some sort of fantasy that I have. You know, you watch your favorite movies and you combine them all and you fantasize like, oh, this world is amazing if I only lived in whatever, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, like these different realms. Writers do it all the time when they write a book. They've created a universe. And so imagine if you could live firsthand. I guess that would be sort of like the 6-7G that you're referring to, is you can have those experiences firsthand.
That's true. That's probably what it's going to be like. You create your own, and then if you fall inside your own world, then is your, you know, you got to wake up too. So but you won't have anyone to tell you what to do and what not to do. You'll be able to do as you want, as long as, you know, because you don't have anybody ruling over you. There's no system ruling over you. There's no,
because you built it.
Right. So you can pretty much do what you like and learn the lessons that you need to learn within that realm and evolve, and like kind of like Thoth. You know, he said he went here, he went there, he tried this, he tried that, he lived here, then he went into his Aguanti, and now he's back. He woke up. You know, and when I come, my wrath, you know, when I wake up, my wrath, you know, when I come back and see that you messed up my house, you know, I'm gonna come with my wrath. So it's the same thing. Like, so Thoth went out and did his thing and had his little fantasy world and went here and went there and then fell asleep and fell into his Aguanti, and now he's awake and now he's coming back to wreak havoc on those who, you know, did what they weren't supposed to be doing.
It seems like that story follows almost perfectly, not perfectly, but Lucifer falling to earth. I read the Goetica or the Goetia, and it had a super interesting definition for evil. And the definition, one of the definitions was evil as a necessity. And it says to descend into this realm, into the third dimension, to physical life, we had to we had to fall from grace. We had to get the illusion of separation, which is our ego. And that illusion of separation is the origin of evil. So yes, it's evil, but it's evil as a necessity. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have this experience, period. So that fall from grace is like sort of the Lucifer falling from the heavens and becoming this demon on earth. Like this thing that creates the fantasy and gets lost inside of it, goes down, has this fall from grace into that fantasy world and falls asleep, like you're saying, and wakes up like, oh shit, everything's gone to hell. I've forgotten my origin. I've forgotten where I came from.
Mm-hmm. And I think the getting it back together is also recreating it, but in a different way. Like the Wizard of Oz. She didn't know a lot of things until she went on that yellow brick road journey, and then at the end, she's like, "Oh, all I got to do is click my heels, and I'm back home."
Mm-hmm.
She got lost in the fantasy, but it's like she learned all those valuable lessons along the way, and when she woke up, she had a whole new lease on life, or a whole new way to do things. Just
what
like
are our heels?
Right, like Groundhog Day, same thing.
What are our red heels, do you think?
Our red heels to wake up.
Yeah.
So when she realized, like, she had to kill the wicked witch, she had to go see the wizard, and none of them could help her. And so the fairy who came in the beginning came back at the end and said, "Well, all you had to do the whole time was click them heels." So, but the heels came from whoever she crushed, the wicked witch, right, of the East. The wicked witch of the East. She took her shoes, and they were red. That's Venus.
Yeah.
She had to kiss Venus or get on top of Venus, get her sprinkle shoes.
Sprinkle sprinks.
Yeah, go through that journey on the yellow brick road, which is like a sun ray.
Yeah.
Get enlightened, and then she had to go. The flying monkeys was 5G.
Flying monkeys for 5G.
Then
who was Tesla then? Tesla's got to be someone in this story.
He was the wizard. And so, they had to get a scarecrow because of the heart. They had to get the Tin Man.
They needed, yeah.
He needed a brain, and he needed a brain. Tin Man needed the heart, so they had to collect these organs along the way. The lion needed courage, which was like,
No, the lion needed the heart for courage.
Yeah. Okay. What the Tin Man need? I think no.
That's what I'm thinking. I can't remember the other one. So the brain, maybe the Tin Man was a brain. Yeah, because they say you're tin when they knock on your head. There's nothing inside, like hollow tin. Something the Tin Man was. I don't know. I help us out.
Needed a brain, and that the Tin Man, I think, needed a heart because they would like bang on his chest and it would be empty. And the lion just needed courage, which represented faith or belief in themselves. And he was a king, but he didn't know it. King of the jungle, but he didn't know it. So he had the power within already, and the heart chakra, and then the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what else was there? There was the scarecrow.
Mm-hmm. And then Dorothy, and the dog, Toto. Mm-hmm.
All right, so scarecrow. Okay, the scarecrow needed the brain. Tin Man did need the heart. Okay.
And the water killed the wicked witch of the West. Water is the plasma, the clouds, are melting. But anyway, so a lot of those movies can be decoded and things like that. But yeah, it's waking up and reorganizing, I'll say. Spring cleaning, I don't know.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're on board with the changes. Like there's a lot of people who think, oh, 5G conspiracy bad thing, or they think conspiracy bad thing. Are you how's your overall feel towards the direction of everything, even including code and all? Are you like, pumped, ready for the next move because this is lining up as it should, or are you like, we need to be careful, we could be going in another direction? I'm having a hard time picking up what you put down on what you think.
Well, I try to give out the information and let people make their own decisions on how they feel about it.
Well played. That's a
I don't think we can
best
stop
route
it.
to go. What's that?
It's like I don't think we can stop it.
Uh-huh.
So knowing that, the best thing to do is get educated about it, see how you can benefit from it, and just move forward. You know what I mean?
That's probably the best thing to do in any situation. I like that.
Yeah, because they're not like, just like we couldn't control the coronavirus thing, whether people have conspiracy about it or not. We can't do anything about that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we really can't. So one way or another, this group of people who got together and decided to fulfill prophecy, they're going to make it happen no matter what. And if you're smart and wise enough to see, what's going on, you can kind of stay ahead of the curve, tell people, prepare, prepare to benefit as well. Like a lot of people in the stock market right now are making a lot of money because they can see what's coming next, or what's closing down, and what stocks are going up because of medical masks. People might be investing into medical supply right now, or pulling their stocks out of something else that's closing. So it's kind of an easy way to make money without even knowing how to trade stocks, just by common sense of what's closed and what's open.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then they're giving everybody this money and this stimulus package and unemployment and whatnot. So there's your, they're giving small businesses loans. So they're also showing you a way that you can also benefit with the change. They're going to try to usher in the change as easy as possible. Letting you have the illusion of the free will.
Letting us have the illusion of free will. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, because they're going to do it anyway. Like either you get in the information and you understand what's getting ready to come next, you prepare, or we just have to move on without you, basically.
Yeah, I've been getting that feel a lot too lately, where it's like kind of shit to get off the pot kind of thing.
Because a lot of other countries, they're moving up to 6G, and America don't like to be behind.
I know.
They're like, Korea has 6G. Oh no, we gotta up.
They're already using 6G?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Really?
They're using way more internet frequency than we are at 6G.
Interesting.
So that's why they're pushing it fast, because they don't want to be left behind.
So the ones who are fine, who are prepared, don't have to worry about high levels of frequencies and things being emitted and fucking up DNA and causing all these adverse ailments from the jump in energy. Are you saying that we'll be chilling then?
I think, yeah, there's a way to prepare. There's a way for people to prepare. And if they do those things by being forced to do them without them knowing any better, like,
And that's where you're talking about the veganism and things like that.
y'all can't eat meat, or
Yeah.
house, don't eat dairy, coronavirus. So they're trying
Coronavirus.
to yeah. Oh, stay healthy. Only the older people with underlying issues are.
Yeah.
So if you have an underlying issue, you need to get healthy.
And the crazy thing is that though I'm not vegan, like to not understand that plants are going to give you more nutrition, which translates to more energy, which translates to a higher frequency of operation. Like meat is made up of protein. There's a shit ton of protein, but our body's made up of some 80 odd minerals that aren't found in meat at all. They're found in your veggies and your plants. And so it would make perfect sense that you got to start eating more veggies if you want to operate on a higher frequency.
Yeah, and also like the vegetables get their energy directly from the sun.
Yeah, it's you're cutting out the middleman.
Yeah, cutting out the middleman and the cancer that it could happen due to the frequencies of 5G and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I do it because I want to be all healthy and whatever. I mean, Because I knew that it doesn't mix with the technology that's coming.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that it was going to be forced eventually anyway. I would rather be already there and comfortable and know how to than be
Good
trying to
idea.
find what I can eat.
That's it. That's a good idea. No, I've been talking about the past couple of weeks. Even in the house, my brother's got some bug in his stomach that's been killing him every night, and I'm like, fuck, we need to start eating healthier. We got to push at least meat on the weekends, vegan during the weekdays, sort of transition.
Yeah, I think even if you read in the Bible, it talks a lot about when to eat meat, when not to eat meat, like different places in the Bible. It's like, oh, only during this celebration or this this time
Yeah.
people would do this. So I wasn't really trying to decode when to eat meat or when not to eat meat, but if you remember the movie Noah with it was like the new version.
I didn't see that one, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. They were vegan.
Oh, were they?
Noah, like his family was vegan. Um, so if you wanted to code that whole Noah thing, it was a lot of code in there, but they were to be vegan at that time when the flood came. The flood was the waves, the 5G waves.
That's it, everybody. That means we gotta hit Ralph Smart's 7-day vegan challenge. Can I get a hello?
Well, I had fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, I didn't mean to kick you off. I just meant there you go. There's a ticket to the next wave.
Oh, I thought you were ending.
No, I when I was saying that out loud, I was like, I probably should have phrased that differently. I just meant there you go. There's the ticket out, folks. Go vegan. No, it's on you. I'm definitely we're good on my end.
Okay, so I mean, was there anything else about Judas or the Gospels of Judas that was like?
There were a couple, but I was more involved with the conversation. It's hard to keep up with the comments. There was a couple of good questions though on Judas and the questions that people and what the conversation we were having, but I don't know how you keep up with all these comments in your lives with that many. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I can scroll back and look at some because I have it on my phone.
Yeah, there was a. Should have taken note and see if anyone asked me questions on
I think they're having more conversations with themselves.
Susie said, "I can tell he's not into the vegan thing." Yes, first of all, you're right. We can. That's a good point. Something
I mean, I have videos where I would say, "I'll never be vegan. I'm gonna eat whatever I want." I have videos still up saying
that's great.
I have videos of myself drinking wine. All of that up to show people, this I used to do that, and after information, I knew what time it was. So that's that. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than you because I'm vegan. No, I was down there telling I would never be vegan.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying I'd never be vegan for sure. Hands down, I went vegan for 90 days and I felt better. The only problem was I couldn't fucking keep up. I was just losing hella weight, and I work out a lot and I run a lot and I'm super active, which means I was just eating like 7 times a day. And I was like, all right, 90 days is enough. I made a point. Like I made a point. All right, but I felt amazing. Like I'm not hating on veganism.
Well, I lost weight, so I needed to lose weight, so that was helpful. I wasn't complaining, but I maintain a weight just by I don't know, drinking more fluids and just eating more.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I definitely could have solved the problem by eating more. I was just being lazy and shit, and I'm not necessarily. I didn't have too many reasons to push me to be vegan, other than I was like, I'm going vegan. I'm doing it. Tell me I can't. I'll do it. Watch me. But
it's not hard anymore because they have so many things now that you can still have your favorite. They have vegan cheese now. I still make grilled cheese with the vegan cheese. They have dairy-free Magnum ice cream bars with the chocolate and the.
No, the vegan ice cream's fire. The vegan everything is fire except mostly the cheese for me. I can't. I haven't found a good cheese that I like.
Daiya, Daiya, I think that's the name of it. They're pretty good.
All right, yeah, let's start slamming some.
Mm-hmm. People are saying in the comments, vegan is hard.
If you follow someone, it makes it a lot easier. I was following hella people. I was following a vegan bodybuilder actually, and he was helping me out a lot.
Right. Well, you know, people can. There's so much stuff now. You could buy. They have pre-made meals that are vegan. Like they'll ship you a box of food to your house, and here you go, cook this.
Maybe I'll do that.
Frozen meals that are vegan. If you don't know where to start, if you just want an idea, they have pre-packaged food. They have frozen vegan food. They have like just stuff that's easy. And then if you want to start getting into the cooking and, you know, being super extra healthy and bougie type of vegan, then you go ahead. But they have like, I would call it the vegan starter pack.
You should start your own Ashera vegan challenge and get a whole bunch of people to hashtag that shit.
Yeah, looks the vegan starter pack, a pack of Beyond Meat, some French fries, potato. You know, all the stuff that you start eating when you like, I don't know what to eat.
I know. I know.
Yeah. So that would be funny. But yeah, like I don't really try to push that too much because people are going to say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. My ancestors did it, but you know, we're in different times now. And so, you know, my main concern was my kids.
Uh-huh.
They have to follow me because I'm the leader. So I'm more concerned with them and their health.
Yeah, I've been having the same things with my son, but he loves meat. It's his favorite. I'm like, I can't take that away. He gets so happy. We make him little tacos. He's already eating his own little tacos and shit. It's really funny. But in a perfect world, I would like to be at about 90% veggies and fruits and 10% meat. Where reality, it's different. You have like 90% meat, some bread, some lettuce, you know, a tomato here and there, some onions here and there. But there's one that says how B12 is so hard to get from a vegan diet, but oysters have like a week's worth of B12 in one oyster alone. And as far as veganism goes, oysters don't even have a nervous system. They have precursors to a nervous system. So you could even argue that it would be okay to eat them.
I just take B12 supplements or those B12 shots.
Oh shit! Yeah. Those are definitely an option. I meant more on the getting them from a whole food source, not an extracted source.
Even when I wasn't vegan, I wasn't getting all my nutrients from the food that I was eating anyways.
Yeah, and most people aren't. That's what I mean. Like our diets suck ass. There's nothing in meat. There's no necessarily. There's calories. You know, it'll keep you alive for a long time, which I think is why we were able to advance. Because think of lion like a snake eats once a week. That's how many calories are in a mouse. But it's also eating the whole mouse and the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the bones. So they're not eating just the muscle tissue, which is a whole other conversation with why the diet's so fucked up. And there's a lot to be said in that. As far as, well, I'm curious, how do you feel then about catching your own meat? Like how the natives process their meat? They connected with the land, they thank the animal, they eat the whole animal, the bone marrow, the kidneys, the liver. How would you feel as far as keeping a healthy body to tolerate these frequencies that you're talking about?
Well, the natives did not have 5G.
Fair. Good point.
But what they did have, like if you watch a lot of the Ancient Aliens or whatever, they did have the earth grid and the ley lines and places. They did. The vortex. So, you know, I don't know like there might have been some vegetarian tribes. There might have been some.
I feel you.
So I feel like maybe, I don't know which one.
Yeah.
But that would
Yeah,
be
because I guess I misunderstood you. You're more going vegan because of the coding from the 5G and not necessarily ethics or health or I gotta be super spiritual and be a vegan. You're like, this is how we're functioning with the energies at bay.
right, because I mean I could be super healthy eating meat. Like
Yeah,
there wasn't 5G.
I see, I see, I see, I see, I see.
I'm
That
too
makes a world
lazy.
of difference then.
I'm too lazy to worry about, oh, well, did I balance this out with that? No, so I'm just like, I'm just not going to do it at all because I don't want to have to worry about if I'm getting, 5G is, causing me cancer because I'm eating meat. Um, I don't have to worry about that. I don't want to have to balance it out. So I'm just like, this, I don't need it anymore. I had enough meat. It's been 40 years, so I think I have enough meat. I'm good.
No, I feel you. I like your very pragmatic approach to the topics. It's like what's necessary and what's not, basically, is what it comes down
I have no regrets. Like I
to.
tried everything. I'm like, okay, well, I've had enough. I can give it up now. I know what it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is.
That's hella funny. That's funny. It's refreshing because I feel like a lot of topics. It's like my guru is better than your guru, and my kung fu is better than your kung fu. My master is better than yours, and I'm more spiritual than you are.
I think a lot of my choices are out of what's easier. Like I'm not trying to do all that extra stuff. I'm just like, okay, well, it's just easier, and I don't have to think too much about it because I need to focus on this instead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is
That'll be
what any master of their craft will tell you is they minimize choices and decisions. They want the simple things to be taken care of so they can have brain space for what they really want to be focusing on.
yeah. So I don't have to worry about it. If I feel something somewhere, is that cancer? It drops so low once you become vegan of ever getting cancer. The probability of you getting cancer drops so low. So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
md.com, medical.com, thinking I got cancer because I had a symptom of something. So I don't like doing that. But I feel that a lot also it's beneficial if you want to lose weight or if you want to, look a different way. So it's beneficial for me. It's beneficial for me. So that's why I can do it easily because I've seen the benefits from it.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see the shift. We're doing it. I already talked to the fam here. Everyone's already down. It's funny this conversation. That's why I'm so interested in this conversation. If you're wondering why we're lingering on this, is because we're about to make the jump to veganism here, and we'll see. I might look up what holidays the Bible says you can celebrate it on, and go spear me some fish and have a little have a little party with the homies whenever it lines up.
Mm-hmm. I guess, but like I feel that I think they're going to start pushing society more towards it anyway. So I don't know. It'll be easier if they're pushing it, I guess.
Yeah, there was. You ever listen to Joe Rogan?
Mm-mm.
No, he um, brought up at least a good thought experiment, and he was using the law of correspondence himself. I don't know if he's a studier of alchemy and the likes, but he goes, I don't know, man. There's something about pushing everyone towards being a vegan, and when you think about vegan animals, they're very passive, they're very docile, they can be trained easily. But when you think about the animals that eat meat, they're predators, they have the highest intelligence, they're more aggressive. And so his theory was being vegan makes you more passive because he was correlating how vegan animals operate. Um, which makes me think about what about the balance? Like a bear is an omnivore and eats primarily veggies, but opportunistically eats fish, deer, rabbits, and shit. Um,
I have something for you. Like since you're into the mushroom,
hey,
mushroom could devour a human body, um,
yeah.
and feed off of that, and then people will eat a mushroom and say I'm vegan. Um,
That's
grass will the grass will a cow can lay dead in the grass and its fluids and stuff can leak into the earth and fertilize the ground and grow a piece of, a fruit, or I mean a tree or some vegetables or whatever, and then you'll.
Uh-huh.
So everything is within everything. It's just that the way that each food gets its energy, you're like you said, you cut out the middleman. But, DNA wise, humans, some humans have every DNA within them already. So, you're going to be intelligent regardless,
Mm-hmm.
because if you take a lion, they don't have human DNA in them. But if you take a human, they could have feline DNA. So we were created above the animals. So we can't compare ourselves to an animal.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I guess though everything is in everything, like the grass consumes the animals too, the idea is the way it goes about eating grass, that quality of energy is different. So the predator is more active in eating the animals. He stalks it, eats it then and there, whereas grass is passive in how it receives its nutrients, because grass can't move around other than through seed and growth, which is super slow. So it's more receiving the nutrients as it's being given to it. It's more of a receptive nature to it as compared to an active masculine pushing out nature towards it. Which is why I've always led towards like a 90-10, where my perfect diet, where I'm dominated by fruits and veggies, but still have some meat as the balance to the energy, if you will, which kind of corresponds to masculine and feminine, because feminine is 1,000 times more powerful than masculine. The only problem is it has no definition, and because it has no definition, it can't create something. So the masculine is smaller in energy, but it gives direction to the feminine, so that they both come together and can create something.
Right. And also you have to think of the earth like another realm. Like you say, they have in the Gospels of Judas, it said these angels have dominion over hell or whatever, the chaos.
Yeah.
So just like there's realms in the heavens and in the cosmos, there's realms on the earth. So you have, the earth realm, then you have, the other, like I would say the spiritual plant realm, or like
Yeah.
energies of the plants and the mushrooms and the trees.
Uh-huh.
And you have, like, you keep going inside the earth, and then you have the magma, the rocks, the shifting of the planet, so you have all these different realms of energies that feed off of each other. And the higher you get in the feeding, the higher you get to the heavens, and then you descend again. So like you die, so you get buried in the ground, and all these mushrooms and the flora and the fauna, as they call it, will feed off of you, and they devour you back up. Or if you choose to get cremated, that doesn't happen. You just your water and your plasma goes straight up into the cosmos. So that's why a lot of people had different burial rituals, and some people would burn you, some people would preserve your body, some people would bury you, some people put you out in the ocean, or let the wild animals eat your body. So it just depends on what your belief was, or where you wanted your energy to go. What did you want your energy to go to? So a lot of people that are really earthy, they're probably formerly from that earth realm, from the plant earth realm. A lot of people that are real spacey, they probably can't, what's the plasma, So where do you want to go next? That's what I think people need to focus on, when they.
That's interesting.
I don't want to die. Do I want cremated or shot out into outer space, or put in water? So
some people are selling those bags where you can have your ashes either planted as a tree, or they put you in a bag with mushrooms, and the mushroom eats you and you fucking mushrooms you. That shit's wild. And mushrooms aren't even a part of the plant kingdom. They're their own thing, just as different from humans as they are plants.
So it depends on what you want to do. Like it's all your thing. Like I think I want to get cremated.
Really? How come?
Yeah, because like I used to be a mortician.
Yeah.
I don't want, because like nowadays you have to get embalmed, and that's not the same thing. They put you in a casket in a cement vault. Your body never touches the earth.
Now you don't go into the ground anymore?
You do, but your body never touches the earth.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You'd have to get like a direct burial in a cardboard box, and for that to happen with no um, cement liner.
Uh-huh.
So Muslim people, they get buried touching the earth.
Yeah, that seems more natural. I would hate it's something just feels unnatural about being buried in cement. Like makes me feel claustrophobic. Even being dead, I feel like I would still be claustrophobic.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
That's understandable, but in yeah, they'll put the cement vault over you or the wood vault over you and have your body just touching the earth. If you request it, like, oh, it's my religion,
Yeah.
So I know in ancient Kemet how they preserved the mummies or whatnot. They were preserving that body so that that spirit could stay in the earth realm. You see, it can influence people on the earth. Instead of in that realm up there, or get caught up in this realm, or go into the nether world. They left their bodies here well preserved so they can have that energy exchange. The water was dehydrated from them, and it stayed in the atmosphere because the body was still on earth. It didn't rot, it wasn't burned. So that's why they mummified and preserved those bodies so well, because a lot of those energies still roam the earth, influencing people.
Have you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
I read a lot of it. I don't think I read through the whole thing, but I don't read books in order. I just flip through.
I haven't read any of it. I think I read the first 2 pages the other day and was like, oh my God, this is going to take a while. But yeah, I was just curious because I saw a bunch of stuff in the book talked about preparing the dead and the purposes for. I was curious if that was in there.
I don't know. I could change my mind at any time if I learn something new on how I want to die. I mean, be exposed of. But for now, it's cremation. So I'll see if it changes, because I could change my mind any day with new knowledge.
Yeah.
Or they have the service now where they could preserve you, just like they did the ancient Egyptians. But I don't know.
They'll do that today? It must cost a fortune.
Yeah, but
Damn, that's pretty gangster. I might be down for that.
Mm-hmm. It can't cost more than an expensive funeral. Some
that's
people
a good point.
30,000 on a funeral.
That's a good point. I might as well tell them to build a pyramid for me while they're at it.
Mm-hmm. Or learn the ancient art. I don't know. I'm sure somebody's doing it for cheap.
there's a bargain homie down the street at Home Depot slanging mummifications. He's all, primo, I got you. 200 pesos. Consider it done.
Yeah, I do that in my garage.
Okay. So we got the out back making her own yarn, making her own cloth. Oh man. What's it like being a friggin', what did you say you were? A mortician. That's random. That's such a random but an obvious job when you say that out loud. I'm like, of course Ashera was a mortician.
It was eye-opening, life-changing, and it gave me a whole different perspective of many things. And I also always wondered about death and the unknown and the thing that most people fear. So I got that out the way. I already got that out the way. So I can focus more on other things. So now that the mystery of, the process of death I don't have that many questions. I can other things. Of course, the afterlife is still, what you need to learn about. But it just taught me that don't take things so seriously. It taught me that at any time could be your time. So, don't leave things undone.
Yeah.
It taught me a lot of stuff that most people don't know prior to that they probably wish they would have done. Like, don't leave anything undone, or something that you wished you would have done. Do it today. Don't take people for granted. Don't do certain things. Don't ride motorcycle with no helmet. Don't be 500 pounds.
Damn, you saw it all, huh?
Yes, because we
Fuck.
get we got those calls where obese people would pass away, and they send one person to get the body, and there's no way, because they don't tell you they're 500 pounds. You come in there and it's a oops surprise, they're 500 pounds. You gotta
Damn.
call for backup. We gonna need. So it's I
Dude.
don't want to be found. It shows clean your life. I think that's why I can become vegan and stop drinking, because I saw.
Yeah, that's yeah. I see that. I see that.
So I think that's why it's like, I don't want people coming, because I'll have to go into some dirty houses. I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, you went into their homes and brought them out?
Sometimes their homes, yeah. So, especially if they were older, or, on home hospice care or whatever. Some people don't keep their house clean. Some people live this way, and some people. So it just taught me how I don't want to be found, how I don't want to be. I need to be, I need to do things different, because this is unfortunate. So it just gave me a little bit more perspective and clarity and things like that, and discipline, I'll say.
You sound like you have some Egyptian in you. Some ancient Egyptian. Like, I want to make sure I look good when they see me, even when I'm dead. Like,
Yeah, they were very into how things looked aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And I think it's because they, in this realm, this is like their fantasy world. You know, if you come like, your virtual reality world, you're not going to just create some ugly stuff. Like, so you want it to be aesthetically pleasing if this is, where you're going to be hanging out.
yeah, yeah, in some sense of the way.
Like,
Um,
you're very, if you're very, what do you call it? If you're conscious of you're creating your own kingdom or world, or rule or whatever, you're going to be like, well, I want it to look like Remember the Time video up in here, versus, oh, I don't know, I'm a creator, so I'll just get a bunch of random junk and throw it together.
well, yeah. I mean, the whole point of being a creator is understanding the patterns of creation, and that is what beauty is symmetry, like symmetry in a face, or symmetry in a tree, or symmetry in a building. Like, that's what we find beautiful, is symmetry, which is order. You know what I
That's
mean?
why their stuff was so precise, like their pyramids and their drawings and their,
Mm-hmm.
because they were creating from that higher position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, ours is different because we weren't creating from that higher position. We just went to Target and bought some stuff. You see?
I know, that's actually a fucking good point. There's no care. There seems to be not as much care going into the creation process as there used to be.
Yeah, because we don't know that we're the creators, and we could do that. And the people that are the people that think like that, y'all are crazy. Y'all got OCD. Everything has to be 1.3 inch away from each other. Like,
Uh-huh.
but why? It could be like some memory, like of
Mm-hmm.
a higher realm. So I feel that when you get comfortable in your illusion, you start to care less about the structure of it.
Yeah, we forget, and then we remember, then we forget, and then we remember. It's like this endless fucking cycle,
Mm-hmm.
on and off, ones and zeros. I was thinking, I was trying to think of people who aren't visually aesthetically pleasing, or like wouldn't care too much. And at least as far as Hollywood is concerned, they pitch the mad scientist who's got ruffly hair and clothes all over the place, just disheveled manner. But at the same time, scientists, especially astronomers, or any scientist really that's passionate about their craft, speaks in poetry when they describe the things that they learn about. There's a whole YouTube channel I used to watch a lot. I used to watch. It was like my science motivation. It was called um, the Poetry of Reality, and it was clips of like Sagan, DeGrasse, that Michio Kaku guy, and it was all the things they were saying and how beautiful it was and how poetic it was. It was like even they are striving for aesthetics, for something that's beautiful, but they're just finding it and pulling it from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And there's, there was a part where they say beauty is divine because it goes with the Fibonacci sequence or
Yes.
the sacred geometry. It doesn't have anything to do with, oh, I don't like ugly people, or you're better than this person because of that. It goes with the sacred geometry. And I was also getting to the point where, see, once you get to a certain level of information, you start to sound a certain way, and people like start to look at you funny but it's just science. So let me just put that out there for this is just science. You take now it's just science. Now don't get mad at me, it's just science. You take two people and they have a child or whatnot, and the child is pretty or ugly, depending on the person's, symmetry. So if I know you were reading in the Gospels of Judas, all the 12 were inside the 13. When all the people come together, they will be one person, and they will end up with the symmetry of, or the divinity, or the symmetry, or the beauty of being one people. So that also has a lot to do with it.
Balance. I guess oneness is ultimate balance. And that's what symmetry is. Symmetry is nothing but balance.
If you look at some of the oldest people not oldest people like in age, but the oldest peoples, like tribes and peoples on the planet, we call them indigenous, right? But they all look like they were mixed, like the Olmecs, the Asian and the Caucasian and the African all mixed, and they look now like the Aboriginal or indigenous people close to Australia and New Zealand. Then you have the Native Americans, which I was saying the Olmecs, the Asians, and some of the Africans, or I guess that would be the Olmecs, and some of the Egyptians that came as well. You would see all of them mix, and they were all like one indigenous group. But then, so we've seen these types of peaceful, or I don't want to say peaceful, but unruled types of people before. They didn't have a king or a government or, anybody ruling over them. They were free and doing their own thing.
They also were able to rule themselves, though. I think that's part of the problem why there's still kings and presidents and big brothers, is because people can't take care of their own shit for the most part. Like, just being real, on average, people can't even heal relationships between like their parents over some ridiculous thing that came up 15 years ago. You know what I mean? And they want to change the world, or but they can't even influence their own.
Right.
That's got to be part of having no rulers, is people starting to take responsibility for their own lives and their own decisions and their own choices and their own conclusions on the world.
The man in the mirror.
What's that?
The man in the mirror.
Man in mirror, MJ, shout out. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Oh, yeah.
I told the same thing to my kids today because they didn't want to play a game together. And I said, well, I bought this game so we could all play together. And, my oldest daughter, she's always talking about doing what's right, helping people, A, B, C, and D. And I was like, how are you going to help people and change the world if you can't even get along and play this game with your sister?
And what happened?
She went upstairs, thought about it, and came back down and played. That's all I have to say.
He's all, fuck this, I'm out of here. Goes upstairs. You're right. You're right.
I used her own words to to correct her. I didn't add anything to it. I said, well, how do you do all those nice things if you can't even do them with your sister? So she thought about it, came back and started playing.
There's a really interesting question that I'm glad you asked it. Anaya Deneen, if I'm pronouncing that right. Anaya Deneen. Ask, what happens if your face isn't symmetrical? Does that indicate you have low frequency? No, not at all. Because I meant to bring up earlier that opposites are the same, but varying in degree. We learn that through the Hermetic philosophy, through alchemy, through Hermetic or the Kabbalion. And the example I would give is the picture of a white rose in a field of red. Like, what makes that white rose so beautiful is that it's the only one that exists. So patterns are beautiful, symmetry is beautiful, but a lack thereof doesn't mean it can't be beautiful, because it's contrast is what gives beauty. More than anything, contrast is what gives beauty. And think in terms of a photographer. You crank up the contrast in a picture to make the image pop more, and the reason why the image pops more is because you're giving more definition to the edges. The definition adds contrast between two things. Contrast is beauty. Like, I almost got braces a few years ago, the Invisalign, because my teeth were crooked in the front, and I've always been super self-conscious of it. And she said, "No, I like your crooked teeth." Like, it was a girl I was seeing at the time. She said, "I like your crooked teeth. It's like makes you you. Like, everyone has straight teeth, but like it like gives you, it's part of your character. It's like part of who you are." And I was like, "Fuck." It's like, thanks. Like, fuck that. Yeah. Just like the Mike Love. So I'm not giving my money to a barbershop anymore. I let my hair grow according to the will of Jah, as the song goes. But there is something to say about things that stand out against symmetry, things that stand out again within a reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a lower frequency if your face is asymmetrical. I mean, everything serves a purpose, period, on both sides of the spectrum. But yeah.
You can always wear makeup.
Always wear makeup. Yeah, I think someone even said that comment, like, my face ain't symmetrical, but I wear makeup and it helps.
Put on that makeup or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you also have to think about the opposite side. Like you said, beauty sometimes is ugly.
Yeah.
I've seen some people that are too pretty and they just ugly to me because they're too pretty. You're just too pretty.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
So you can be too perfect, and then no one, like, you go into someone's house and they have all white furniture. You don't want to sit on that. Like,
Yeah.
here, can I sit here? Can I walk? Do I have to take my shoes off? What do I have to? You're almost afraid to be comfortable. So there's a such thing as too pretty. So I think you know anything with symmetrical or beauty or divine, I think it's how you define your divinity. How you use what you got to make people see your divinity. So that's also your frequency within. So you have to make it work without. You have to make it translate. I don't know. I guess that's what you can call it. So you could be the most beautiful person in the world, but you could be the boringest person in the world.
Yeah.
So whatever you have within has to reflect out as well. So I think that's part of it, because being a mortician, okay, so let's say a beautiful person dies. Their expression on their face is gone. Their animation is gone. It doesn't seem like it's the same person there because that essence or that soul is gone. So their face is like this. Like there's nothing there. It don't even look like the same person. So even with beautiful symmetry in your face, what's within has to animate that and make it work.
Always have to make it work. There was a hold on, me myself, I always says beauty is subjective and superficial. ... Next sad face. I'm sad that you say that, because there's a definition for beauty that I think we can all agree on. I used to do more videos on like dating and how to approach a woman, etc. And I did this series and gave some presentations at music festivals on the art of seduction. And the whole premise of the art of seduction that I had was you have to allow yourself to be seduced, and that most people don't know how to allow themselves to be seduced because they don't know how to find beauty. So when you're saying that comment made me sad because you say beauty superficial, next subject breaks my fucking heart because beauty might be the most important thing in your life, period. Like truth is beauty. You know what I mean? A sunset is beauty. Of course, people can be beautiful. Personalities can be beautiful. Trees can be beautiful. Like the ability to see something so simple and genuinely allow yourself to be overwhelmed with the uniqueness of it, with the fleetingness of it, because that's another aspect of beauty. Things are praised for their beauty because they don't last. Like the sunset, they call it the sunset hour, the golden hour, because it's only 1 hour out of 24. It's the most beautiful time of the day. It's not there very long, and it goes just as quickly as it comes on. And that fleetingness is what beauty is. It's why the youth is praised so much, because it doesn't last. Like for the most part, you get older and that beauty is gone. That's why it should be cherished. If you've ever grown plants and you see a fruit fully blossoming on the tree, like, damn, that's a beautiful apple. It's not always going to be that beautiful. Nothing fucking lasts.
Oh, that reminds me of the book Dorian Gray.
Ooh, wait, Dorian Gray, is that that's familiar? Is that the vampire dude?
Well, I don't know, there's a movie about it too, but I was listening to the audiobook. I don't know. But it's about a man who was very vain until some person he just met told him that he's going to get old one day.
Uh-huh.
Started obsessing about his looks and his youth. And so I don't know, it's I think you would like it. It's kind of dark and also very poetic. I think it's by Oscar Wilde.
I do like dark poetic things for whatever reason.
There's a movie.
Say that what it will.
Watch the movie, but every time, like, someone painted him in a painting.
Yo, that's where I know it from. And he always goes back to the painting and he stares at it, but he's like old in the painting or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the movie?
Dorian Gray.
The movie's called Dorian Gray? Huh.
You might have also seen him on a series.
I saw him on a series, I think, based in London or some shit like that.
That Penny Dreadful series.
Yeah, that's where. Yes, that's where I know. What's that?
The whole movie called Dorian Gray.
I enjoyed that show too. Actually, that series, I enjoyed that a lot. There was a lot of really deep stuff going on in that. A lot of really deep stuff going on in that series.
Yeah, it's very. I watched the whole thing. Like, I like dark stuff like that. So, but they do have a whole movie that's based just on Dorian Gray. So, and it's more intense.
I gotta check that out. Wait, no, he was young in the painting, and that keeps him young. Okay, that's how it went.
Every time he does wrong, the painting gets ugly.
Ooh, how is that for a moral message or ethics message?
Yeah, the movie is way better than just. You gotta find it.
Yeah, hit me with that. No one's hitting us in the. Dorian Gray, Soul to Soul. Yeah, no, he definitely was on some shit in the show too. It definitely wasn't like a very light and loving way of staying young forever. I remember that much.
Someone's asking me if there's ever been a body that its soul has not left their body. I saw a movie, suspenseful, that makes me think of this. I think the soul leaves the body in phases because it's air, it's gas. Like, if you think back to the ancient Egyptians, it's like you have to evaporate back into the atmosphere because your soul is plasma, you know. And So depending on how you are disposed of after death depends on how long your soul stays in your body. And sometimes when you are like in a scary accident, you know how you can jump out of your body because you're afraid, or
Yeah.
it's like the opposite of when you get sleep paralysis. It will be the opposite. Instead
Uh-huh.
of being stuck and can't move, you would be jumping out of your body. So it just depends on how you die and how you're disposed of and whatnot. That's just my opinion. I mean, I can't prove that, but
No, I hear you on that. I've thought of how I want to get disposed of a bunch of times, and I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards being planted in a tree would be nice.
Mhm.
One of those old ass trees that live for thousands of years. Um, Inaya Danin, I want to stay young forever. Read the tablets. I'm not sure what tablet is it in where he talks about eternal life. Which one is it? Do you remember, Ashera?
No, but I remember when he was saying lay to the north for 1 hour and then lay to the south for 1 hour, and
For
that's
1 hour. You got to do it. You got to lay north and south an hour.
because you're reversing your polarity in your electromagnetism.
Yeah, but you
So,
got to do it every day. You got to do it every day, and it will reverse your aging. And
mhm.
he didn't say what age it would keep you at, but basically you stay young forever. And when you are ready to pass on to the next life, doing so without pain and trauma, you lay east to west for an hour every day. Um,
Was
no,
it?
I think we had John Smith on that. He never got back to us. John Smith, did you ever report back? He was going to be our guinea pig to see if that worked or not. Was that issue?
Oh yeah, I was just saying if you broke that down in quantum physics or science or physics or whatever, it would make sense scientifically too.
Oh, for sure. I was breaking that down a bit on my channel. The basis is when electromagnetic fields line up with each other, they become stronger. And when you're going north south, you're aligning to the poles of the planet Earth. So whenever you put two magnets together, for example, the magnet is twice as strong because you've doubled the field. And that's what's happening when you're laying with your head north south, is you're putting those poles in alignment. The trick is, which the book didn't clarify, is that there's geographical north and there's magnetic north. I'm assuming it's referring to magnetic north because why wouldn't it? But it doesn't actually say.
Hmm.
I know that's one thing I always questioned.
Well, how would they know which way was the north back then? They had magnets and all that stuff, so they
Yeah,
magnets.
yeah. Well, true. Yeah, magnets. So it would be the magnetic. It fucking got to be. You're lining up the EM fields with the planet. Um, yeah, I
Oh,
think.
but also in the Book of Enoch, it said the same thing. Once all this technology comes into play, the same thing would happen because you're having all that energy running through the air and the earth grid crossing and the magnetic north shifting this way. So they said there will be a time where, you won't age or time will not exist or something, the old man will look young again or whatnot.
Mhm.
So that could also be the shifting of the pole, the magnetic pole shift as well with the earth grid and the technology that's coming in.
He's sorry, I was reading the comments. It's leaving so funny. Oh man. Damn. I know. I need to. My meditation game is. Do you meditate on a regular basis? My meditation game's been weak. It's been super weak lately. Are you
Um,
Are you a meditator?
I can't say that I sit and meditate like, oh,
I
I'm more of a channeler. Like I'll get just information just walking around.
feel yeah.
If I meditate, you won't be able to talk to me. I'll be talking some stuff that don't even make sense. I mean, because I think if I meditate on that level, I think I would become annoyingly too deep.
I feel yeah. No, I get it.
I don't understand this, and it just sounds like you're talking nonsense. But when you go into that deep state of, meditation, and you're already on a certain level consciously, already just awake, imagine how far you go then. So it's like you're talking like this person call the people in the white coats, because she's crazy. And then it's hard to talk to people in layman's terms and to describe what you saw or what you've come up with or why you came up with it or how you got this information. So it's kind of like I can't meditate like every day because I'll go too deep into it and I can't talk to you anymore. I'll lock myself in a room and be like, don't bother me.
No, I feel you on that. Yeah, I was I was
got
asking.
maybe once or twice every month or so, but I can't do that on a daily basis.
No, I feel you. I haven't been able to do it on a daily basis for well on 2 years now, but I've been meaning to, more so, not even because of the spiritual aspect, but I just need to slow the fuck down. I'm always go, 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 one thing to the next, and the days slip into fucking oblivion. But I notice when I meditate, I'm like, oh, that's right. There's fucking life exists when I stop, and there's a whole nother world that's fucking not involved from the Mad Hatter one thing to the next. But I also know some people don't operate like that. Some people can
Oh
just.
yeah, I would be like the Mad Hatter. You know how if you saw the Alice in Wonderland with the Johnny Depp Mad Hatter?
Yeah, definitely.
How he spoke.
What the numbers on that guy's hat mean? I never figured that out.
What were those numbers?
I think they were.
I actually decoded that one time, but I forgot what it meant.
Yeah, maybe you channeled it.
Someone asked me the same question and I looked it up. I had to find the photo and then look at the hat. And then I did the decode, so I'll just look Mad Hatter hat.
Someone said white furniture and white floor would be scary. I'd be down for a completely white room if there was a baby grand piano in it and the piano was like black or something. If that was the case, I'd be super down for an all white room.
Okay, so I pulled up the hat. It's 10 and 6 on the hat. And then on the movie, see, so on the cartoon, it's 10-6.
Uh-huh.
And it's green. And on the movie, so 10 out of 6, 4, 13, 1 plus 3. On the movie, they have the peacock, which has all the colors of the rainbow.
Interesting.
So, all right. Yeah. And then, so they have a peacock feather, which also represents Christos or the rainbow or the firmament in the sky.
Yeah.
Interesting.
10-6 is, I'm trying to think, was there a different number for 10-6? Because if you break it into decimal, it's actually already a whole number because it 10's on top. So it'd be 2, 5, 3, it'd be 2/3. Am I making sense? It'd be 2/3, right? If you break it down into a whole number.
I did it on my calculator. Like, what would it be? 10 divided by 6.
Yeah.
It will be this 1 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 7.
And then round it up to 7. Gangster. So it's the 6s.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 is a whole number, but the 6s and the 7 is just because they rounded up, but really it's 6s for eternity. That's interesting.
And if you do it times 2, it's this.
6-3. Where's the 9 at? Where's the 9 hiding?
So I did it times 2. I'll do it times 3.
I'm not sure. That's in that numerology world. I haven't dipped in to the new. Are you a numerologist? Not a numerologist, but do you fancy numerology to an extent where you could talk loads on it, or not necessarily?
If you do the 3 times the 3, then you get the 9. So I don't know. You go 1 2 3 4. If you keep doing it that number of times, it's the next number. It gets to 3 6 and 9. So I did 10 divided by 6 times 2 times 3 times 4 times, so then it'll go 9 and it'll keep going up by 3s.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not super into numerology. If I have to decode something with numbers, that's the only time I'm really into it, because I'm more into decoding. So whatever I need to learn how to decode at that moment, I'll learn about it.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
Bunch of knowledge. Well, I do, but like I don't just read stuff and to memorize it. If I need it, I'll go research it, and then that's why I forgot what the number meant. And then I'll just bring it back when I need it.
You know what I've been noticing too? That book earlier that I was talking about says that it was measuring people's frequencies with a computer, and just by reading that book, that their frequency was rising. Studied and actually plugged into a computer, and they were getting these rise of frequencies. And then the tablet says the same thing. It's like, don't worry about retaining the knowledge. Just read the words, and it's going to activate what it needs to activate. Read this 100 times and see what happens.
Right. It's like, yeah, because the knowledge increases your frequency, because knowledge is light. You don't have to walk around lit up all the time.
We lit, stay woke. Hashtag.
Yeah. But like when you're reading something, it's like it's activating you. So you're gonna have a higher frequency. But when you're not reading something and you're just walking around, your frequency is not gonna be as high. That's why, remember when Thoth says, "Seek forever the light," or "thine light," or whatever, that means knowledge. So as long as you're seeking knowledge, your frequency is raising.
Make knowledge. She says something about make knowledge your aim. Yeah, for sure.
And you know, the more you seek, like you don't have to remember it. All you have to do is experience it and have that feeling that comes with knowing that. And I think it releases something in your subconscious mind, like a little bit of fear goes away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my daughter Sasha can decode her dreams as she's dreaming, because I've taught her how to.
Oh shit, that's amazing.
Said I was decoding my dream in my dream.
What?
So,
I
like,
still gotta wake up to do that. That's super funny.
yeah, like the dream symbolism is the same as how to decode real life. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching her how to do that. And so when you can start to decode in your dream, what was probably a nightmare or a mystery becomes clear. And so if you can become clear in your dream state, you become clearer in your waking state.
For sure. As above.
So it's like you can see on a broader perspective, and learn how you can see code and everything, like in the Matrix. So when they were seeing the code, it was computer code.
Damn.
It's like goes back to zeros and ones.
I know. I tell people that same thing all the time. Like, it's not it. Becoming more aware in your dreams is becoming more aware of your waking life, and vice versa. Vice versa. They're all tapped.
Mm-hmm. And like in the book of the Gospels of Judas, they kept telling Jesus, "Well, I had a vision, or I had a dream."
Yeah.
Jesus was laughing at them because they didn't know how to decode it. And like,
He laughed at him every time, which is strange. He's like, yo, 12 of them, 12 of you. Obviously, it's you guys worshiping your false god.
see, so he decoded the dream for them and laughed at them because they were doing it all wrong. They were doing everything backwards. They were taking the Bible literally instead of figuratively. They were, you know, how a lot of Christians do. They think that the Bible is 100%, 100% fact and not metaphor or symbolic. So they're sitting up there doing these crazy rituals and thinking it's going to work and calling themselves this and that, and they don't even know what it means. So it's funny because they'll come against you and they'll try to use the Bible against you, but they're the ones that are the hypocrites because they have no idea what they're even talking
about.
I think that's why he was so sarcastic, because it was almost like they were not smart enough for him. They weren't on his level. And he was just like, look, I'm going to come tell you one more time. Here it is. Stop doing this bread thing.
Stop.
You know, so that's why he took Judas off and showed him, because the other ones were stupid and they didn't do it. They were like, come on.
We gotta get an animator. There's got to be an animator in your squad who will get you to do like these Judas conversations, but animate it and dub your voice over it. So yeah, for the last time.
That would be funny.
I'm talking about bread. When I said bread, I was saying get that bread, not break that bread.
Yeah, bread is symbolic of my body. Take the
Mm-hmm.
and the wine. Take the body and the blood,
Body and the blood of Christ.
right, of me, somebody that looked like me. Get the body and the blood, the DNA of somebody like me, and eat it, ingest it, have it become part of you, which means, mate with somebody that looked like me. That's what it meant. That's the whole thing. The Last Supper, you know, the um the Last Supper was like, okay, this is the last time I'm gonna tell y'all. I had nothing, you know. So they were just like, okay. They just thought they was eating. No, it's a picnic. They still didn't get it. So that's why he had to come back and tell them again.
Yeah, he even rose from the dead and was saying shit. Like, you're gonna make me come back from the dead?
Yeah, it's like, dang,
Still.
that because y'all, he call them fools. Ooh,
Yeah, he definitely was hating on the disciples for that entire passage. And he basically left them. He's like, all right, I'm done with all of you, Judas, let's go.
that's why I think a lot of people when they look at religion or Jesus or whatever, they think he's all this holy perfect person. He was a trash talking sarcastic, he was funny actually, because like I'm like
I know, especially some of these Gnostic texts, man. Like they're definitely personality riddled for sure. He's got way more depth to him as an entity.
right. So, and he himself was a trickster. He himself was a trickster.
Jesus himself was a trickster.
He studied under the Egyptian mystery schools, who was written by Thoth.
Oh, that's right.
So if he's teaching and he's saying the same stuff, obviously he knows the same thing. So
Did you ever study the Drunken Master or see the movies, the Drunken Master, the old Asian Drunken Master movies?
I have seen one of those Asian drunken masters, but I don't know if I remember the name of the movie. But yeah,
They're the best. It's same concept. The drunken man, but the drunkenness is his facade, his avenue of. But he actually is drunk the whole time too. Which is what makes it pretty funny. Anywho, um, damn, we're pushing 10:30. I feel like I could talk for the next 3 hours, but is there anything pertinent? You guys have anything seriously?
no, I think we pretty much decoded it and did way more than that. I think people get a lot out of that. Maybe help people look deeper into like biblical texts and the books that were taken out or lost or whatever. Even if they don't believe it's true or it's not real, it's false, it don't matter.
Yeah, that's what I've said for sure.
Like the message is the same in all things. It's just another version of it written in a different way.
Yeah, I read the Bible more after I was a devout Catholic than I did before, for the sake of at the least interest. I mean, the stories that happen in the Bible are fucking wild, and you guys should definitely check those things out. But all right, I think we're done. Doesn't seem like anyone's got anything big, but damn Ashera, thanks for hanging again. It's been a while. You jumped on, or I jumped on your live like the first couple months of my channel opening up. That was like a couple years ago, I think, at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime, it doesn't matter. Like, I think like I'll pop into your live. Sometimes I'll say something, sometimes I won't, because I don't want people going, "Oh, hi."
Nice.
But
Good looking out.
yeah, you have like a philosophical point of view of things that I don't even kind of look at sometimes because I'm so busy trying to decode.
No,
So it's kind of cool to get that aspect of things too, because if you have both, you can see even further. So
I've been making it a point to get people who are masters of their craft on the channel, so I don't have to figure it out, because I do like the philosophical side of things. We have a running joke in my house where some shit goes on and it's like, all right, that's like not a coincidence. We'll be like, yo, Ashera, like, where you at? Where you at with that code?
yeah, we could do a whole nother video on reading the signs of nature and decoding them.
Ooh, that'd be my favorite. That's my number one go-to when anyone asks me anything. I'm like, well, students, let's look at nature. Like, how does the natural world reflect this? We'll do that. We'll do
No,
that.
I'm talking about just like in real time, like going outside for a walk and seeing something.
Oh,
Use that to know what's, something. Like,
what? Walks with Ashera.
I'll give you an example. Like, I used to do readings and stuff a long time ago, and I was on the phone, and this lady was like, "I need some help. My sister was murdered. I need to figure out who did it, what happened." Da, 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 da.
Damn, she called you for a murder? That's deep. That's
Yeah.
heavy.
Okay. So I asked, like, so how did this person die? Like, and then I saw like stuff that would appear in nature that was leading me to filling in the blanks, and I was like, I saw two buzzards.
I see. Yeah.
I'm driving down a city street. Why is there two buzzards in the sky? Okay, this is not the country. So there's two buzzards just circling. I'm like, was it two people involved in the murder? And she's like, yes. I said, were they related? And because two birds of the same family. Yes, they were. They were two brothers. And then I kept going. I kept looking around, and I said, okay, when buzzards circle something, they're waiting for a kill. I said, was it a setup? And she said, yes, it was a setup. They set her up and robbed her. And so, but we can't find them, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't know. I forgot. It was like so long ago, but that's the type of nature thing I'm talking about, on how to use symbols and things in nature to kind of draw from, whatever you're trying to ask yourself. It's almost like tarot cards or runes, except you're using nature.
Yeah.
Like that, like the natives did. They see, they didn't use runes or tarot cards. They used nature.
Yeah.
Tapping into that native side.
We got to do that. Please, let's do that. We'll go on a quarantine walk, a social distancing quarantine walk, and break down nature.
Okay, yeah, because like on my Instagram, I don't know if you have Instagram, the other day I found Buzzard Alley. There was a lot of buzzards. That means lots of deaths. And I'm like, why here? Why now? Why do I have to cross this? What's really going on? And I'm like, this is a sign. And so I'll just show you real quick so you can laugh. Oh, here's Buzzard Alley. Let's see if you can see that.
Not really.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that?
shit.
Why?
Damn.
You see, and then there's a sign. Well, I don't know if you can see the sign. It's coming. Well, anyway, I was driving, and then there was a sign that said stop, out.
I couldn't see the sign, but I saw a shit ton of buzzards. I've never seen that many buzzards in one place before.
It's on my Instagram on Ashera Stargoddess, but it was just like they were all hanging by a gate, and it says keep out, and there was buzzards on one side. Keep out, buzzards on one, and it was on the left side of the road, not the right, depending on which way you were coming from.
Yeah.
Leaving, but it said keep out from the other way. So I don't know. Like, I'll have to go decode that, but stuff like that is what I would decode.
It is. I met this psychic at a jacuzzi at 24 Hour Fitness, and he was like, I'm a psychic. And I was like, yeah, sure you are, buddy, whatever. And he was super nonchalant about it. Some crazy German last name, Vander something or another. And he knew I was doubting him, and he goes, all right. He's like, you lost someone close to you recently, like the first thing. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, everyone probably loses someone somewhere. But I had just lost my grandpa, who was super close to me. And he goes, it was your grandpa? And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. He's like, want to know how I knew that? And I asked him how. And he goes, well, because the figure's on your right side, which means the patriarchal. That's how I knew it came from your dad. And he had this color, which is masculine. That's how I knew it was your grandpa. He's like, it's not that I know. I just get things that pop in. He's like, everything has a corresponding element. So I see right side this, left side that sort of thing.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time with people, and I stopped because people would make like I would go out to have a good time. This is back when I used to drink. I would go out.
What up?
Yeah, I'd go out to the bar, and someone that knew about what I would do, like, hell, you got to read my friend, or you got to tell them this. You don't want to be known as that, so you stop doing, or you stop telling people about it. But one of the few times where someone did that to me and just forced their friend on me, like, here, read him. So I'm just looking at them because they buying drinks, so I'm doing it. Free drink. You have a heart, something wrong with your heart. And he was like all freaked out, and he was like, I just came back from my cardiologist before I came here. I said, so why are you in the bar? And he got scared and left. You know how
because I don't learn.
He's like, she's
sorcery.
Yeah, but like when I was looking at the person, I was seeing like 4D. I would just see, their outer body like a silhouette, and then I would just see their heart, and I would see it like
damn
anatomical drawing, like, or like blue and red, how they draw it in the anatomical books.
Yeah.
That's what I would see, because that's how I've been trained to see a heart without looking at a real heart. So I said, there's something wrong with your heart, because that's all that appeared to me was his heart. And so he was like, how did you know that? I said, because he didn't look like he had a heart problem. He was a normal looking dude. So I can tap into that, but I stopped doing it because too many people will ask you, and it's like annoying, and it's like, I'll use it when I need it.
It's a pretty amazing talent, though. I need some extrasensory talents.
And I think it has to do with also, if you want to do it or not. If you're motivated, like for free drinks.
Such is the nature of human. We tend to need that goddamn carrot, that push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's another thing. And then like you can end it if you want after this, but that motivation that kept popping up today. And I even saw it when I was researching Judas, that Judas needed that motivation. That's why Jesus had to come back. And he took him out of all the people, the one who betrayed him, quote unquote, betrayed, and gave him the motivation. Like, why would he come back to help me? Why would he tell me this? I'm motivated now because I want to see if it's true. I've been chosen by the person I betrayed. I'm special, motivation. So, when some people say, oh, these are the chosen people and I'm the chosen people. Well, if they're both could be chosen, but chosen to do what, and chosen by who to do what, to fulfill what role. So a lot of people will argue over who's the chosen people of God or whatever. There's people that are chosen to do specific tasks. So everybody's chosen, but chosen to do what?
Yeah. Judas had the toughest role. So it would make sense that he would be the most worthy, as we see straight out of the text, though.
Yeah, I'm reading on the comment. Jay Swee in the comment says that Judas was the smartest student. That's why he chose him. Yeah, interesting. Motivation. And you know how Trump always say, I'm a pretty smart guy. He'd be playing dumb.
So yeah, I know. I said even before all this coding shit, people were like, oh, yeah, Trump this and that. He's an idiot. Like, look at all the texts and how he talks. I'm like, yo, you don't get to become the president of the U.S. and be an idiot. He may be playing the fool, but he is one fucking sharpened tack, if I must say. We're just talking about, we've been talking about this the whole time. The fool, the trickster, the fucking drunken master. You know what I mean? These are all, it's the same shit same story over and over again.
Yeah, the drunken master will insult you, but teach you at the same time and shut you up and give you the answer to your problem and send you on your way home.
Yes.
You don't know whether to laugh, cry, or be thankful. But you got.
And that's the cool thing is he's drunk, so it's like, all right, you don't take him you can't get mad at him because he's drunk. That's why the drunken master gets away with it, because he's playing that role of the drunken master.
Right. I think that's why so many people stop taking Trump seriously. Listen, well, that's just Trump. That's how you're gonna be. At least we are entertained. You know, I'm not taking it personally because I know exactly the role that he's been chosen to play. And so I think people have to realize that and just understand that he doesn't care what you say because his role is meant to be the way it is.
There's a question for you on here that people are getting mad at me for not asking you.
Oh,
And if you need to take longer than like 5 minutes to answer this, I'm just going to leave this running and I'm going to start making food. The question is, hey, Ashera, this is COVID-19 related. Is there code with keeping the deceased in New York City for 15 days? Ooh, there's that number 6 again. Then doing mass burial on Hart Island? Question mark.
on what island? Hart Island?
Hart Island.
The heart? The shape?
Not spelled like heart, but pronounced like heart. Hart.
Okay. Well, I knew like something big was going to happen in New York a while back because of, like, I don't know, like something that was happening in the sky. Y'all remember that electrical thing that happened, and it was like all this blue stuff going on in the sky, and people thought it was the electrical company, or some people thought it was aliens. Well, they were removing the firmament, or the what do they call it? The ionosphere and those things that block the sun and all that stuff. They were removing that, and so a lot of stuff was getting into your atmosphere and being released from your atmosphere at the same time. But a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling. I want to leave New York. I want to leave New York." And a lot of people did. I know a lot of people that did, because they felt stuff. And so in every disaster movie, it always hits New York. Every disaster movie, it's always in New York, in New York. So they always show the Statue of Liberty. You know, they always show this, and then they're going to wait 15 days to have a mass burial, or like a burial of the people. So they're probably waiting for something to pass over that area to collect the energy from those people, you know. So the aurora borealis, or, you know, the northern lights, those could be seen as souls that are stuck in that level of heaven, I'll just say. And so they might be waiting for that thing to pass by. They might be waiting for something else to pass by. They might be waiting for a frequency that the earth will rise to before they decide to do that. They also could be like taking health precautions, like waiting for 2 weeks to do the mass burial, because that's 14 days. And, you know, it doesn't take 14 days for a virus to die. Okay. Like, if you take the worst virus, it doesn't take that long for it to die, like 24 hours. So there's something else. There's the energy, they're harvesting energy. It has nothing to do with the virus itself. It's the energy that they're harvesting. So I would be suspicious of that.
What up? My bad. Did you kill it? Did you handle it?
I answered it.
Nice. There was fries waiting for me on the counter, so I've been snacking on those. This video just turned into a mukbang, you guys.
You got the munchies.
Yo, I was like, oh, we'll go for a couple hours and I'll eat dinner. And we've just been slaying, so I haven't eaten since like 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But cool. Is that it, you guys? Was that the most pressing question that you had? Was it a good answer? Did I miss anything juicy?
Well, I just said that they were harvesting energies. That's why they were waiting so long to do like mass burials or burials, because it doesn't take that long for a virus to die. It doesn't take 2 weeks. Some of the worst viruses in the world only take like 24 hours to die.
Damn.
You know, when I was a mortician, you know, when someone came in with like a really bad disease, they would tell you to wait 24 hours before you start embalming that body because everything should be gone by then. So
even working with them on a daily basis, that was the max they would give you, 24 hours.
24 hours. And another reason that I stopped is because like a lot of times when you deal with dead bodies, you're at risk for getting hepatitis B or something like that. They want you to get a shot, a vaccine or whatever. And so I never got it. I was like, well, I'm gonna risk it. But see, when the body came in, and if it's had hep B or whatever, I just wouldn't work on it. Somebody else would, because I wasn't getting ready to get no vaccine.
Oh, fuck all that. Maybe somebody else handle it. Dubai, I'm sorry, I've seen your question like 4 times. What did I plan to get in Oman? I wanted to get I wanted to see the frankincense fields in Oman. That's why I wanted to go and get trees if I could. I wanted to start where I'm starting a frankincense forest over here. Get resin, get trees, get seeds. I wanted to see in person the fucking 1,000-year-old giant Boswellia sacra frankincense trees. So I wanted to go to Oman. Plus I heard it's a beautiful country, and I'd love to go to a relatively safe country that practices Islam to see the culture and not risk like getting injured. And Oman is the best place to do that. So I've been wanting to go for a couple of years now.
You know the spiritual aspect of frankincense?
Well, frankincense is a solar-dominated plant. Myrrh is a moon-dominated plant. And between that and the gifts of Jesus, it was frankincense, gold, and myrrh. So you had life and death, sun, moon, and then the gold represented the kingship, the kingdom on earth. That aspect I know, but I'm not sure if you're referring to something else.
Oh, that's what I was asking about. It also purified the air. So like if a baby would get sick with its like lungs, it would also help purify that. I know that. So that's
the thing with plants is you can purify air with any plant that contains antimicrobial properties. Because what happens is the essential oil is what kills the pesticides. Like essential oils are poisons to insects. So when you light that plant on fire, those natural pesticides become airborne. That's why you can purify it with anything: copal, cedar, fucking frankincense, myrrh, anything that has antimicrobial properties is going to kill stuff that's airborne. Some are better than others, of course, but mugwort does it, sage does it, frankincense, myrrh, all kinds of shit. Lavender does it, tea tree oil does it.
Yeah, I got one of those big giant Himalayan salt lamps, and those fight off the 5G and the radiation, and they also purify your air. But if you take some essential oil and like sprinkle it on there, the essential oils will also purify your air, make your house smell good too. So
Damn, I didn't think of doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it lasts all day, and it smells good, and it doesn't stain it or anything.
That's
so
cool.
You have one of those lamps. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
You know what? That sprinkle. That's also a running joke in this household now too. Whenever we want to manifest somebody, we're just like, "Hey, what that sprinkle."
And I don't even know where that came from, but then I started like sprinkling, blessing, with water, with blood, sprinkle, giving you, blessings of abundance. That's what it means whenever someone donates, I'll say sprinkle, or whenever, I'm thankful for something, I'll say sprinkle, like blessings, because I don't like saying blessings or, whatever. It sounds too,
Blessings, brother. Welcome to my channel.
Yeah, like, how in the Catholic Church they would sprinkle you with that
They
water.
do hit you with that sprinkle in the church. That's hella funny that you say that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that is. It's like more abundance to you too.
Damn, I feel like a new man with this food. I didn't realize how much I was hurting until I started eating these fries. These potatoes. Damn, you've been trying to end this live for like 45 minutes. That's when you know you're killing it, when you can't even end the live.
Well, I mean, I know you got to go eat. We could do it again whenever.
Yeah, we'll plan it. I mean, we are all just chilling at home and shit. We'll do another one.
Okay, just let me know.
All right.
On my channel this time.
Oh yeah. We'll hop on over to yours. Thanks for coming on to mine again. Thanks for being down and hanging out
You're
and
welcome.
bringing your squad too. I think this is by far a max out. You guys, everyone that's in the room, just know that you popped our hundreds cherry for the live view count. Thank you guys. Sprinkle, sprinkle. And I'll hit you up. Sure. Thanks. Thank you. Have a good night and stay safe and all that other good stuff.
All right, y'all too. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Bye. Bye.